Urandeuch gifelion fidlon it naguarchobur Mercia, chuiase fodingadan drui storm aglau weufin. Mifi et helflad, merch Alfred, arguides i Merciaid, alefaraf in aurdan olubdu ak oflaentistiolait ein zindadau. Hiram serimae ein finiau wedi se filingadar nin erbin jued i bleidiaid or gogled abrenginoed imra geisiod ein dinist. Truidarian a truid wildoet i torasom heducho berigl, aki mae Mercia in sefil hebei pligo. Eto guibiduchin, ni diu guait ein tadau wedi ei gublau eto. I maitirire inglar saxon indal wedi ei ranu, ei nert wedi ei guasgaru fel graun ar lauri felin. Amhini, kosodafi i willis ochblaen. Ni fid Mercia in aros in flamunigin itiuiluch, on fegifid in deirnas galon arguidiaet fui.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Solo Gamers Club. Tonight we're going to be playing Dark Ages, The Heritage of Charlemagne. Now this game is the companion to the previous video I did on Dark Ages. That one featured more of Central and Eastern Europe. This is Western Europe. And tonight I'm going to be playing as Ethelfled, Lady of the Mercians. For tonight's game, we're going to be opposing the Lordlings, which are going to consist of Rollo, Duke of Normandy. Then we have William I, the Pious, Duke of Aquitaine. And finally, we have Louis the Blind, King of Provence. For this playthrough, we'll be adding in the following modules. We'll be playing with, obviously, Module 1, that's the Lordlings and Raiders. That's our solo engine for the game. We'll also be including Module number 3, Grand Buildings. In addition, Module 12B, Fibonacci. That'll be followed by Module 13B, Norsemen. And finally, we're going to be adding Module 14B, and that's Patronage. Our two Patronage cards consist of Bayeux Tapestry and the Bernward Doors. Now these cards can be acquired when we reach the second rose-colored location on the culture track. If we're able to reach the track first, we'll be able to select one of these two and implement that onto our player board. If the Lordlings reach that location first, they're going to randomly discard one of these cards. The Norseman module will allow us a choice. If we're able to acquire a Norseman card, we can either use it before battle, or we can use it as a free action and do trading with the Norsemen. Now, Ethelfled is a very fascinating woman from history, and I am a great lover of British history. She was born in the year 870, and she died in the year 918. But in between that time, she had a very unique role in Middle Age history. She's probably the only female to rule a kingdom autonomously. In many cases, there's many examples of queens co-ruling with their husbands, but after her husband passed away, she was the de facto ruler of Mercia. And she's probably single-handedly responsible for the direction of British history more than probably anyone else during this period. Now this video is going to be a little different from the other two video series that I produced for this board game. This one I'm going to focus more on the strategy of the game, and we're going to explore the depths of just how much strategy is in this game, whether you're playing either in the multiplayer or against the solitaire lordlings module. Lots and lots of strategy here. It's very deep. We're going to be using the cyan colored pieces for Mercia. The lordlings will be using the burgundy colored pieces, and the Saracen raiders will be using the green. Now Ethelfled comes with two very, very good technology cards to start the game. She has burrs, and those are going to provide an immediate benefit. It says remove one barbarian token from a province neighboring any province you control. And as we upgrade it, we can place a level of keep in every city we control without a keep. Finally, if we get that to level 3, enemy armies may not enter your provinces with level 3 keeps, so that's huge. Now we also have a very powerful military upgrade, and that's Fjord. These are infantry-based units, and if we're able to get that upgrade, it'll upgrade us to level 2, costing 1 leather. And this is going to give us a 3+ during melee. It's much superior to our starting armed peasants. The armed peasants can be raised for no cost, but they're only a 6+ during the melee phase. So we'll probably want to upgrade to the Fjords as quickly as possible. Ethelfled's capital will be in Mercia, and she has a fairly decent settling costs as opposed to some of the other leaders. She has a 2-4-4. So we're going to be much stronger in settling the initial areas around Mercia, and it will get more costly as we move away from that, but it's not bad. Now the order of our actions are going to be research, followed by maneuver, development of culture, recruit, and building. Our initial culture offering included a reinforce card. And after making the roll, it ended up upgrading a raider unit, and they upgraded their archers to level 2. So that was not a good thing for us at the beginning. We also have a very powerful great building, and that's Chateau de Longueuil. Play instead of placing a noble. Immediate, place up to 3 levels of a keep in this province. Whenever you pass, you may remove 1 barbarian token or 1 enemy infantry from any neighboring province. So that's very powerful, but unfortunately that costs 4 stone. And this early in the game, that would be very difficult to obtain. Next is a technology card, and that's levied infantry. Whenever you resolve the recruit action, you may recruit 1 infantry unit in addition to the unit you would normally recruit. Its second level is reduce the costs of the first infantry unit you recruit in a single recruit action by 1 resource. And then finally at level 3, reduce the cost of the first infantry you recruit in a single recruit action by 2 resources. Cancels level 2 of this technology. And then we have a military upgrade. That is the 2nd level infantry unit. Our Fjords will be superior to that. And then we have longbowmen, and that would raise the archers to level 3. Then we have a Norseman card, and I discussed what those benefits are. In this case, it's before battle, pay a gold, 1 stone to hire 1 infantry and 2 archers, and then discard the card. So that allows us to, through diplomacy, to attempt to gain some Norseman transient units, and those would be effective only for that particular battle. And finally, we have a cognomen card, and that is the Fearless. Receive 3 victory points for each barbarian token on your player board. So definitely our initial strategy is going to have to attempt to obtain this reinforced card. We don't want that either going to the lordlings or dropping off the display. That would give the raiders another upgrade. We don't want that. The Saracen raiders are going to start with an infantry and a cavalry unit. Now with the appearance of Normandy now on the board, that's a direct threat to Wessex, and Wessex is our only viable location to obtain metal. So we're going to have to make a play for Wessex very quickly. We cannot allow the Normans into Wessex. One beautiful thing about England is we have access to each of the supplies that we need: stone, metal, wood, and leather. But we cannot lose Wessex because our next closest supply of metal would be in Champagne or Upper Lorraine, so it's quite a ways away. We're going to begin with the lordlings. They're going to be the first player. We've placed one of their noble discs into the exhausted nobles supply. Now we don't have to worry about the threat to Wessex immediately because they don't have any forces on the board yet, but what we will have to worry about is if they take a development of culture action to start. They're going to gain that reinforced card and there won't be anything that we're going to be able to do about it, so we'll see what happens. So the first card by the lordlings is Persevere. Well, they can't do that yet, so that'll be shuffled back in. And we've got the recruit action. So what they do is they are going to recruit the rarest unit that is on the board. And with all things being equal, it'll be in the order of infantry, archer, and cavalry. So they're going to be recruiting an infantry. So we'll place one of their nobles on the recruit action, and then they are going to be recruiting an infantry. And unfortunately, that recruit action is going to occur in the closest city to us. I should say the closest recruit area to us, because they can recruit in non-city areas. So we'll place an infantry in Normandy. All right, we've shuffled that Persevere card back into their draw deck, and we have a very tough decision to make. Because right now, with that infantry being recruited in Normandy, they theoretically could move into Wessex and take that province. By the same token, there's also a development of culture action in that deck, and if they take the reinforced card, we'll be handing over an upgrade to the raiders. So this is a very tough decision. Now we currently only have 2 infantry in Mercia, so that's probably not enough to go into Wessex. We don't know what would be fighting there. At present, all we can see is that the reward is to gain a gold. So if I want to make a play for Wessex, we will have to probably do a recruit action to start out with, and then we would be taking a chance with that reinforced card. And I think we are going to have to do it. I'm going to use the recruit action, and it will allow us to recruit 1 new unit in Mercia. And I think we are going to recruit a light cavalry. So we're going to spend a metal, a leather, and fortunately a gold, but that's going to get us a light cavalry unit that has 2 hit points and will be active during the charge and the melee phase. So we're going to be placing a light cavalry unit in Mercia. So we place a light cavalry in Mercia. We've got a force now that has a good chance on moving into Wessex, but once again, we don't know what that barbarian token consists of yet. And now we're back to the lordlings. We'll see what they are going to do. And they are going to take a build action. So we're going to place one of their nobles on the build action, and we're going to make a roll. Now currently they are unable to build a city, so if that result comes up, we would have to keep re-rolling. Here is their build action. They rolled a 2. That is a city build, so they can't do that yet. They have no areas available. A 6, that's still a build for a city. We've got a 20, and they're going to build a church attempting to get the highest victory points. The church is going to go into the location that will give them the most victory points, and it's tied. If we use Aquitaine, it's going to be no churches in that region, and they're adjacent to Burgundy, they're adjacent to West Franks, and they're also adjacent to Brittany, which is an independent kingdom. So that would get them a total of 8 victory points. The same goes for Normandy. They're adjacent to Lorraine. They're also adjacent to England in Wessex and the independent kingdom of Brittany. So we'll make a die roll. Odd for Aquitaine and even for Normandy. And here's the roll. It is odd, so the church is going to be placed in Aquitaine. Place that in their city, and that is going to net them a total of 8 victory points, and they've struck first. So we are up next, and I'm going to have to take a chance, and we are going to do a maneuver action. We'll place our noble on the maneuver action, and that will allow us to maneuver our forces in Mercia. And we're going to launch an attack into Wessex. We'll have to see what we're going to be fighting against. And this time we have to go against 3 barbarian infantry. So we'll place 3 barbarian infantry into Wessex. And then we're going to go to the battle board and we're going to resolve our attack into Wessex. All right, the small white dice are going to tell us the hit values of the attackers and defenders units in both volley, charge, and melee. None of the units have any volley units, so we'll move on to the charge. The only charge we have is our light cavalry unit. We're going to hit on a 5 or 6 during the charge phase. Here's the roll. And we've got a 1, so there's nothing there. We'll move on to the melee phase. And in the melee phase, all these units for the attacker hit on a 6. So we'll launch 3, 2 green and 1 red for our attack. And we have no hits. Now the defending barbarian units will roll. They're going to hit on a 5 or 6 with 3 green dice. They have 1 hit. All right. So we're going to take a casualty, and they're going to take an infantry from us, and we've lost the battle. They have a battle strength of 3. We have a battle strength of 2. We'll have to retreat back to Mercia. Not a good start. Well, that was about the worst start we could have experienced. Worse yet, I used my gold to purchase that light cavalry unit, so we won't have the gold available to bring our fjords in and upgrade our infantry. Well, we'll see what happens with the lordlings. Here's their next draw. And they've got persevere, so they're going to build again. So we'll place one of their nobles on the build action. And then we'll find out what they're going to build. They rolled a 14, and they're going to build a farm closest to you where they have already built a farm. Well, that's going to be in Normandy. So the lordlings construct a second farm in Normandy. Well, I am going to conduct a research action, and we're going to bring in births. Immediate. Remove 1 barbarian token from the province neighboring any province you control. So we're going to do that. So we're going to bring in our research for burrs, and that'll allow us to get rid of a neighboring barbarian token. We're going to take that from Wessex. So we'll remove the barbarian token from Wessex. That will go back into the supply in the draw bag. And that is our research action. Lordlings are up again. And this time they are going to maneuver. So they'll be placing a preparation disc on their maneuver action. I'll be doing the same. I'm going to maneuver. We'll move these forces from Mercia into Wessex. There are no defenders, so we're going to take military control of Wessex. Examining our settlement figures on Ethelflaed's card, we find out that we're adjacent to our capital within the same region. It will cost us 2 points to place a farm there. 2 levels of units. I think we're going to wait to settle Wessex for the time being, and we'll just accept military control of the area. Lordlings are up next. This time they are going to use development of culture. They're going to take the rightmost accessible card. Rightmost accessible card for them is unfortunately the reinforced card. And in this case, they're going to discard it and upgrade a raider. Not what we wanted. The card will be discarded. These are going to slide down, and then we are going to draw a replacement. And the replacement is another cognomen card. This time it's the bold. Receive 1 victory point for each unit you have on the main board. Okay. Now the Saracen Raiders are going to make an improvement on one of their ground forces. We're going to make a die roll consulting the player aid to find out which they are going to improve. Result is a 3, and they're going to improve their infantry. So the Raiders have level 2 infantry now. They will be charging with a 6+ and melee with 4+. For our next action, we have 2 nobles remaining. I would like to recruit, but that's going to give a kick-out action to the Lordlings. So I think what we will do is we're going to take the development of culture. Limits us to only 1 selection. It's the Chateau de Langeais. So the only card we're entitled to is the Chateau de Langeais. We're going to take that, and if we can accumulate 4 stone, we'll be able to build that. So we'll put that into our hand, and then we're going to refresh the offer. And we've got Fibonacci. Lordlings are up next, and they have the rush card, and that will take effect. They have less than 2 or less nobles remaining. They're currently not eligible for a kingdom card, so they will go to pass, and they'll recover their nobles. Leftmost card on the display is removed, and we'll refresh our offer once again. This time we have staple rights. The Lordlings will also gain 2 on their culture track. That's going to remove the coin from our purview. And finally, they have a total of 3 provinces under their control. That will net them a total of 1 victory point, moving them up to 9. They're winning 9-0. Well, I have 1 noble remaining. We're eligible for the Kingdom of England as we own 2 of the 4 provinces, but I would have to have an unused noble for each province I don't control, so I don't have enough to do it. So we're going to have to use that noble for some action. I really don't have any viable actions that I could take. I could just pass with the one noble, or we could take a development of culture action. I can't build, I have no resources. I can't recruit. I could maneuver, and I cannot research because the cards that I have require supplies or gold that I don't have. So our only viable option would be to use the development of culture action. That would net us the infantry and longbowman upgrade. So I think we will, instead of doing that, we'll do a pass. We're not able to acquire the Kingdom of England card, so we will simply recover our nobles. We have no resources to sell or hold, so we'll simply gather our resources from our controlled provinces. And we're going to gain a leather and a metal. So we'll gain a leather and metal and a gold. And that will bring our pass action to a close. Before we continue, I have an error I have to correct. When the lordlings built the church in Aquitaine, they should have received 9 victory points instead of 8. The proper way to calculate this is 5 points for the church, plus 1 if there are no other churches in the region that you built it in, and then plus 1 for each adjoining region. So we've got 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 9 for the independent region of Brittany. So we're going to give the lordlings 1 extra victory point. That'll put them to 10. And we'll continue on with the lordlings' turn. And they're persevere. They can't use that, so we'll shuffle that back in. We have research. All right, the lordlings are going to place a preparation disc on research. That'll be the extent of their turn, and we'll shuffle the persevere card back into the deck. Well, it's our turn, and we have a lot of things that we'd like to accomplish, but not a lot of resources to accomplish them with. We need to still build a farm in Wessex. We need to build a city in Wessex. And we need access to more building materials, wood and stone. Well, I think to begin, we're going to upgrade our armed peasants to fjords. Now it says on here, immediately after covering this space with a military technology card, remove half of your infantry from the board, rounding down. Well, we currently only have 1 infantry, so we'll be able to keep that on the board. We're going to pay 1 gold, and we're going to upgrade our armed peasants to fjords. Now that's a level 2 unit, so that will allow us to place a farm in Wessex and still maintain our cavalry formation that's there. So we're going to take a research action. So we'll place a noble on the research action, and then we have now constructed fjords. And with that, we're going to take our free action. That's a settling action. And we have to get rid of, in the case of Ethelfled, we need to have 2 levels of units removed, and then we can place a farm there. And we're going to do that now. Our fjords are level 2, so we'll take a farm from our display, placing that in Wessex, and then the infantry unit is removed. We'll have to rebuild that. And incidentally, those farms are going to give us 1 transient infantry if Wessex is attacked, so those farms are quite useful. Okay, we will move on to the lordlings. Their next action is a development of culture. All right. Well, with the development of culture action, they'll place a noble disc on development of culture, and they're going to take the rightmost eligible card from the display. In this case, the lordlings are eligible for the Norseman card, and that's what they're going to be taking. So they're going to take the Norseman card. It'll be discarded, and they're going to be adding a raider to the Saracen Raider card. And that's what that represents, is those Viking units, and that they have used diplomacy to get them to work for them. So we'll refresh our display, and we'll bring out another card, and this time we've got levied cavalry. All right. So we'll consult our player aid and make a d20 roll to see what type of unit will go into the Saracen Raiders. They've rolled a 4, and that's going to be an infantry. So we'll place a Saracen Raider infantry on the card. And I think we're going to take a recruit action, so we'll be placing a noble on the recruit action. And we're going to recruit one of our fjords, and that'll cost us 1 leather. So we're going to pay a leather, and we're going to add a fjord to the only place we can recruit it this time, and that is in our capital of Mercia. We're caught in a bit of a catch-22. We need access to wood and stone, and until we get those, we're unable to build cities, keeps, or churches, and we can't even build any production buildings. So we're going to have to make an attack probably into Danelaw. That would be probably our best bet. That'll come in the future turn. All right, the lordlings are up next. And they are going to persevere, so they're going to do the development of culture once again. So they're going to take the rightmost card that they're eligible to take. So they're going to gain the cognomen card, the Fearless, and for the lordlings, that's going to give them 5 victory points. So that's going to raise their victory points up to 15. We have 0, and then we'll refresh our offer. And this time we've got Fulco Hera, and he's a vassal. It says build a keep, paying regular costs. If it was the first level of a keep, you may place an additional level there for free. That will be our benefit if we can acquire that card. If the lordlings will get that, they will build a church with that instead. We're up next, and I think we are going to do a maneuver action, and we're going to reposition our forces. So I think to cover Wessex in the event of something happening there, we're going to move our infantry into Wessex, and then during a future turn, we can either strike at Wales or East Anglia. Now we know what forces will be facing in Wales. We don't know what it is in East Anglia, but it will give us a leather and a stone. All right, the next lordling action is settle. Okay, they are unable to do that action. They have no other provinces other than their starting provinces, so they cannot settle. And it says if all of them do, draw another card instead. This is going to be a build action. Okay, so they're going to place one of their nobles on the build action, and then we're going to roll a d20. And here's the roll. They've got a 15, and they're going to build a farm closest to you where they have already a farm already. Okay. Well, they've already built the available farms in Normandy, which is closest to us. So next closest will be Aquitaine, and they're going to build a second farm there. That moves them now into the range of gaining victory points for their farms. Well, we have 3 nobles remaining. I have 1 medal. So we can't build, we can't recruit. So that leaves us with development of culture, maneuver, or we can pass. Now I could take a chance and invade East Anglia. That is a good resources for us if we're able to defeat whatever is there. We have our fjords, which will now be hitting at 3+ during the melee phase, but whether they survive long enough to accomplish that is a different story. If there's archers in East Anglia, they could be cut down before we would have the chance to use them. We might be better off taking the development of culture action. The problem with that is we'll be giving a kick-out action to the lordlings. I think what I'll do is I'm going to take a maneuver action, and we will maneuver our forces back to our capital where we're going to be able to build additional units during the next turn. So we're going to maneuver our forces from Wessex back to Mercia. All right. We're kind of taking the long way around with this, but I'm in a catch-22. I can't get the resources until I can get additional provinces under our control. The lordlings have 3 nobles, and this is their next action. And they're going to recruit. Okay, they're going to place the rarest unit on the board in the province closest to us, and then they'll be rolling for an upgrade. The rarest unit, considering the upgrades and what's on the board, will be a archer, and that's going to be placed in Normandy. So we'll be placing a lordling archer in Normandy, and now we have to roll to see if they're going to get an upgrade on that type of unit. 16 to 20. And they've got a 17. Everything is working well for the lordlings. So we're going to increase their archer level to 2. So their archers increase to level 2. They're going to hit on a 3+ during the volley phase and a 6+ during melee. And we'll place that archer in Normandy. Now they have an infantry and archer in Normandy with 2 farms. It's back to our turn. We have 2 nobles, and I think we are going to do a pass action. We currently have 1 medal in our inventory. So we're not eligible for, I am eligible now for a kingdom card. We own 2 of the 4 provinces in England, and I have 2 unused nobles. So we're going to be able to claim the Kingdom of England. That's worth 8 victory points. And that's going to also give us the ability to take an action twice by tipping the card. So we'll move ourselves up to 8 victory points. Now we're going to take our noble tokens back from the displays. Our current warehouse allows us to keep 1 commodity. So we're going to keep our metal that we have. Now we're going to collect gold, leather, and metal. And that will be the end of our turn. The lordlings have 2 nobles remaining, and here's their next action. And they're going to rush, so they will end up passing. We'll see if they're eligible for any kingdom cards. Not at present. So they'll take their tokens back. We'll shuffle the lordlings deck, and they're going to gain 2 culture points, moving them up the track by 2. In addition, they currently control 3 provinces, giving them 1 extra victory point, moving them up to 16. The score is currently 16 to 8 in favor of the lordlings. All right, we're up, and we have 6 nobles we can place. We've got a gold, 2 metal, and a leather. So we have no stone. So let's take a look at the strategic map and see what we want to do. Currently we have 1 infantry and a light cavalry unit in our capital of Mercia. So we can take a chance. We could go after Danelaw. We know that there are 2 barbarian infantry defending that. That would get us access to stone. And that might be our best bet. We don't know what the reward will be for that, so I think we are going to try it. The other option is we build another fjord first and then launch the attack. Maybe that is the smart play. I think I will do that. I'm going to do a recruit action, spending 1 leather to gain us a level 2 fjord. I don't want to take any more chances in having us lose this next battle. So now we have a force of 2 fjord infantry and a light cavalry. And we'll be launching probably an attack on Danelaw in the next activation. All right, the lordlings are up next. They have 6 nobles. First card is Development of Culture, so they will be placing Development of Culture, and unfortunately they're going to be gaining another cognomen card, which is going to net them 5 victory points. And we will discard that card and give them 5. The score is now 21 to 8, and we'll refresh our offer. Next offer is another vassal. This time we have Harriger of Lobes. You may take a card from the offer, even one you do not have access to. If it is a cognomen card, score it and discard it immediately. Okay. All right, we're going to be taking a maneuver action, and we're going to be maneuvering from Mercia into Danelaw, and we'll try to take control of that province and its stone production facilities. So we're going to be moving in 2 infantry and a light cavalry, and the Danelaws are defended by 2 barbarian infantry. So we'll take the 2 barbarian infantry and our force, we'll place that on the battle board. All right, we're going to begin our battle phase. There's no volley. We'll move to charge, and our light cavalry will move into action. We need a 5 or better for success. And we've done it. We've got a 6. It's going to institute 1 point of damage on the defenders. Their units are level 1, so that will remove the unit from the battle. We move to the melee phase. Our cavalry have a melee attack of 6. Our fjords have a melee of 3+. Here's our attack. And we have a total of 1 hit. That'll destroy the barbarian forces. They'll still be able to launch an attack, though, back on us. 5 or better. And they are unsuccessful, and we've won the battle. And so we've won the Battle of Danelaw. And our reward is going to be gain 2 culture points. Not what I would have wanted, but that's what we're going to get. We'll gain 2 culture points. And we place the barbarian unit in our trophies area. As Danelaw is adjacent to Mercia, we can spend 2 levels of units and place a farm there. That's our settling action, and we're going to do that. We'll remove one of our fjords, which is a level 2 unit, and place the farm. It'll give us control of Danelaw. And with the placement of that farm, our supply level moves to 5. The next Lordling's card is maneuver. They've already prepared maneuver, so they will be doing it. They're going to select a random adjacent uncontrolled province and place an infantry there, removing the barbarians. All right. So they're taking the maneuver action. It'll remove their preparation token, and now we'll get a random province for them to maneuver in. So what we'll do is roll a d20 until an eligible province is revealed. Province number 1, that's Wales. That is not eligible. Number 3, that's Danelaw. That is not eligible. 18, that is Gascony, and that is eligible, being adjacent to Aquitaine. So, a Lordling infantry is placed in Gascony, and barbarian token is removed. Our turn is up next, and we have a very interesting card in the offer that we're able to acquire, and that's this Fibonacci card. During a build action, you may build 2 levels of the same keep, paying the full price, or build a church at a 1 wood discount. When we pass, we're going to receive 1 victory point. After using the ability, or when passing, give the card to the player on your right. So that card will go to the Lordlings, and then when they pass, they will receive a victory point. That's how that will work. So I'm going to be taking the development of culture action, and we're going to take the Fibonacci card. Now there is a difference between what's printed on the card and what is listed for Module 12B. The card says, during a build action, you may build 2 levels of the same keep, paying the full price, or build a church at 1 wood discount. The gameplay manual says, when you perform a build action, you may hand the Fibonacci card the player counterclockwise of you, and then you receive 1 of 2 bonuses. A discount of 1 wood when you perform a build action, or build one level of a keep additionally to your build action, paying full costs. So it's a little bit different there, and I guess the card will control, so we'll use what's printed on the card. Now the card does not become part of our hand. That's simply placed face up next to our player board, and it does not affect our hand limit. So we're going to refresh the board now and see what we get. The more that we draw these cards, the faster the Lordlings cards will come into play, so we don't want to do too many of these. And just what happened, we've got the reinforced card. All right, several things are going to happen with this. Whenever a Raider card comes on the board, and the target marker is on our ruler card, which is where it is, that's where it started the game, we're supposed to randomly select a province that we control, accept our capital, and place the target marker there. So that's what we're going to do. Currently, the two provinces that we control that are not our capital are Danelaw and Wessex. So we're going to have to make an odd-even roll to determine where that Raider marker is going to go. So we'll roll a odd-even. And it is odd. So that'll go to Danelaw. So we place this Raider marker in Danelaw, and that is going to be the target of any raids for the time being. Next, it says, when added to the culture roll, we have to roll a d20 and follow the instructions. Result is a 12, and that's going to be to add a Raider. So we'll be consulting our player card, and we're going to add a Raider unit based on the unit selection. Result is an 18, and they're going to be adding an archer. So we will be adding an archer to the Saracen Raiders. They now consist of 2 infantry, a cavalry, and an archer. The Lordlings have 4 nobles, and we'll draw a card to take their next action. They're going to use the settle action, and they're able to do so. They currently have military control over Gascony, so they're going to be placing a farm in Gascony. It's already moved them up to a supply level of 8, which is going to eventually net them 10 victory points for their farms. We have 3 nobles remaining, and I believe we're going to be taking a maneuver action. So we're going to place our disc on maneuver. That's going to give us, after we're done, a kick out between wood and stone, or to regroup. And we're going to be maneuvering our forces into East Anglia. We have an infantry, a fjord, and a light cavalry. Don't know what we're up against yet. Our reward is going to be a leather and a stone. The barbarian token is revealed to be an infantry and cavalry. In addition, they're going to be receiving a 1 infantry bonus from our trophies. So as it stands now, we are slightly outnumbered. They have 3 forces, we have 2. We have a total strength right now in levels of 3, and they currently have 3. So we'll see what happens with this battle. We'll transfer it to the battle board. All right, we've laid out our forces on the battle board. We're going to begin with a charge phase. There is no one in the volley area. So each side is going to be able to roll 1 red dice, and both of us are going to hit on a 5 or 6. Here is our charge attack. And we've got a 1 that is not good. Here is the roll for the barbarians. And they've missed as well. Those forces now will be able to participate in the melee phase. We're going to be hitting on a 6, and the barbarians will also hit on a 6. Now we have a slight advantage in that our fjords will be hitting on a 3. So we're going to be getting a total for our attack of 1 green and 1 red. Green will hit on a 3+, red on a 6+. And we have 1 hit, and that was from our cavalry. So we're going to place a hit marker against the barbarians. Now the barbarians will fire. They're going to be getting 2 green dice hitting on 5s and 1 red dice hitting on a 6. And they have no hits. Thank goodness. So we're going to take our casualty, and we will take a barbarian infantry as the casualty. Our total strength now is 2 for our fjords and 1 for our light cavalry. That's 3. They have a total of 2 1 strength units, so we've won the battle. Thank goodness. So our forces move and take control of East Anglia, and our reward is going to be a leather and a stone, and that is awesome. So we're going to take those commodities and add them to our totals. In addition, I'm going to settle the area, so we're going to take one of our fjords and we're going to replace that with a farm. It gives us a supply level now of 6, and we've got control of East Anglia. In addition, we're going to place that unit in our trophies area, and that's going to net us 2 victory points. That'll move our victory points up to 10, and right now we're losing 21 to 10. But now we've got some provinces that are going to help us in getting some resources into our coffers. All right, now we're going to resolve our kick-out action, and I'm going to take wood. In this case, I'll add a wood to our inventory. We have 2 metal, 1 stone, a leather, and a wood. We have 2 nobles remaining in the supply. This noble will go to the exhausted nobles area, and my plan is, after, depending upon what the lordlings do with this next action, I'm probably going to take a development of culture action. Unfortunately, that is going to give them a kick out, but it will allow me to take this staple rights card, and the immediate effect is to advance the warehouse for free. So I think that would be very helpful for us. The lordlings will go again, and then my plan is to build a city in Danelaw. Danelaw is the target of Saracen raiders, so that city will help in its defense. And incidentally, that is another aspect of this game where the strategy comes through, and that's the use of our nobles on this culture display and action track. What you're doing is you're constantly thinking, how can I get a kick-out action, or do I want to give the opponent a kick-out action? Maybe I'll delay the development of culture so that he doesn't get a kick-out. And you base that upon how many nobles he has left in his supply. He's still got 4 of them. So if we want to do the development of culture action, it's probably worthwhile to give him the kick-out rather than waiting for that long. By that time, the staple rights card might be gone. Or in another aspect, you could say, you know the cards that have been played from the lordlings deck, you kind of have an idea of what one of their actions might be. You could set yourself up to take an action that maybe you don't necessarily want to take, but have a good chance of receiving a kick-out action based on the cards that are already in play from the lordlings deck. So a lot of strategy in this game. All right, we'll see what the lordlings will do. And they are going to persevere, so they can't do the settle action again, so they're going to do the maneuver action. That will be their persevere. So in this case, they are going to be placing their preparation disc on maneuver. All right. And I'm going to follow the plan that I had outlined earlier. We're going to be taking the development of culture action. Unfortunately, that will give them a kick out. But we're going to gain the staple rights card, and that at level 1, when we play this, we'll immediately advance our warehouse 1 for free. So we'll place this into our hand of cards, and then we'll refresh the display, and then we'll take care of the lordlings kick-out action. Okay, the next card is a raid card. Not good. All right, the raider token is still on the board at Danelaw. That will not change. So we're going to enact this raid card, and it says when added to the culture roll, we are going to roll a d20. Result is a 2, and they're going to be adding a raider to the Saracen Raiders card. Okay. So we'll consult our player aid and find out what type of unit will be added to the Saracens. Result is a 7, and that is going to be an infantry unit. So another Saracen infantry comes on the board. So right now they've got 3 infantry, a cavalry, and an archer. Now there are ways for us to mitigate the amount of forces on this Saracen card. If we are able to acquire, as an example, this raid card, at the bottom it says, play this instead of placing a noble to counterattack the raiding party. We're able to use an army anywhere on the board, and we can fight a battle against the Saracen raiders and diminish their capabilities. So that is a way for us to mitigate that. Lordlings will have a kick-out action. Their choices are regroup or recruit. Lordlings already have preparation discs on research and maneuver, so they are going to take the recruit action. So the Lordling recruit action is going to be a cavalry. That is the rarest unit that they have on the board. They've got 2 infantry and 1 archer, so they'll be placing a cavalry in the province closest to us. That is going to be in Normandy. So they've built up a sizable force there. One thing I'm unclear of is when they take a kick-out recruit action, do the Lordlings get their roll for an upgrade? It doesn't really say, but I'm assuming that it would be the exact same procedure as it would be if a recruit action was drawn. So we're going to make a roll on a d20, and on a 16 to 20, they're going to upgrade their cavalry 1 level. So we'll make the roll. Result is an 11, so they will not have an upgrade, and the turn will pass to us. I'm going to be selecting the build action with my last noble. And we're going to build a city in Danelaw. So we're going to place the city model in Danelaw. We'll attach our stone production to the city, and that is going to give us +2 to culture track. So our culture track is going to move up 2, and we're equal with the Lordlings right now. And I think I'm going to utilize my Kingdom of England card at this point. We'll tip the card, and we're going to take the build action once again. And I'm going to pay a wood, and we're going to improve our warehouse to the next level. Now we have a sell and a hold ability. I'm currently out of nobles, so we will have to pass during the next turn. The Lordlings have 4 nobles, and here is their next action. And they're going to research. They have already prepared for that. So we'll place them on a research action, returning the preparation disc, and we'll make a roll on the research table. Result is a 6, and that is upgrade a Lordling unit. All right, we're going to make another roll consulting the player aid. We'll see what type of unit they'll upgrade. They've rolled a 4, and that will be infantry. So the Lordlings will upgrade their infantry to level 2. Right now they've got level 2 archers and level 2 infantry. Okay, it's our turn next. We have to pass. We have no nobles remaining. Not entitled to any kingdom cards, so we will refresh the offer. These things will slide down. And our next card is a technology card, Plunder. So we've returned our noble discs. Now we're going to consult our warehouse. We have 1 sell available, and I'm going to sell 1 of our metal. And that is going to give us, has a value of 3 for trade. We'll be able to move up our culture track 3 points. So we'll move up 3 points on the culture track. 1, 2, 3. And that is going to give us that gold coin, which is very useful. And as well, we're the first to reach this, and these tokens were marking some special cards. And those are patronage cards. It says when you reach the 2nd red space on the culture track, immediately select one of the available great works and either return it to the box, gaining a gold, or place it in front of you in play, spending the resources shown on its first step. Place your player marker on its step. If you cannot pay the resources, you may not select this option. All right. And I'm going to select the Burnwood doors. Now we do have iron available. I could spend that and we would instantly receive 2 victory points. The other option is to discard this and gain a gold. And I think at this point, I should probably take the victory points, but I'm going to take the gold instead. That'll give us 2 gold. I realize the victory points in this game are everything, but I think in this situation, the gold will give me more flexibility. So that's why I've chosen to do that. Now I still have 1 medal in my inventory. We could sell that for another 3 points on the culture track. That would be another option. I think we're going to hang on to that for the time being. So now that that's done, we're going to receive another goal, and then we will receive our resources from the provinces we control. Right now we have the provinces of Wessex, Mercia, Danelaw, and East Anglia under our control. So we're going to be receiving a metal, leather, stone, and wood. So our economic engine is starting to come together now. These are the resources we have. We have 3 gold, and now we get to tip our kingdom card back for use. Now, since we have passed, the Fibonacci card is going to give us 1 victory point, but we have to pass this card to the lordlings, and then they will get the same result. So we can't use any of the effects on this till we get the card back. So we'll give the Fibonacci card to the lordlings, and we are going to increase our victory points by 1 for that card, moving us up to 11. The score is 21 to 11 in favor of the lordlings. It's now their turn. They have 3 discs to use, and they're going to take the recruit action. All right, so we'll place 1 of their discs on recruit, and then they are going to recruit the rarest unit on the board. And at present, that's going to be either an archer or a cavalry. And currently their archers are level 2, their cavalry are level 1, so they will be taking an archer. And that'll go into Normandy, the province closest to us. Now we'll make a roll to see if they are going to further upgrade their archers. Result is a 6. They will not. So the turn returns to us. Now there is a raid card out on the offer, so we're going to have to be cognitive of that. If that ends up dropping, there's a very good chance that the Saracen raiders are going to launch an attack, and in this case it is going to be, the target will be Danelaw. So I think what we're going to do is use some of our resources, and we're going to start making some improvements. And I think the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to use a research action, and we're going to end up playing that staple rights card. So we've used a noble in the research action, and we're going to be playing staple rights. Level 1, immediate, advance your warehouse track for free. So we'll place that into our display at the top. That'll eventually be worth 2 victory points for us, and we can upgrade our warehouse for free, which is outstanding. Lordlings are up next. They have 2 noble discs. This card is build. So they're going to take the build action, and we'll see what they're going to build. They've rolled a 7, and that's to build a city, gaining 2 culture points. And they are able to accomplish that in 1 location on the board, and that is in Gascony. So they're going to build a city in Gascony, incorporating in the stone production facilities. And now they've got 2 of 3 provinces in Aquitaine. So they will probably be taking that kingdom card when they pass. Building of the city gives them +2 on the culture track. Lordlings will gain +2 on the culture track. They're right behind us. And incidentally, since we reached this location, we can remove that token. And they have 1 more to go before they would be eligible for that. If the lordlings end up taking in this case it would be the Bayeux Tapestry patronage card, they will receive nothing because we reached that location first. So I'll take that token off, and that is going to bring their turn to a close. Now we have a very interesting opportunity. With control of Wessex, we also have these connection paths that lead off of Wessex. One of them is this connection from Wessex to Brittany, and that would be a way for us to get onto the continent if we can organize an attack force in Wessex. So I'm going to take a recruit action, and we'll place a disc on recruit. That is the second disc there. The lordlings have already placed one there. And now we're going to do a recruit action. And I think we are going to recruit an infantry, and that'll be one of our fjords. And I'm going to recruit that into, we have to start building up a force in Danelaw for defense. So I think I will place that in Danelaw. Then I'm going to use our Kingdom of England card. We'll tip that, and we're going to take the recruit action again. And I believe this time I'm going to produce an archer. And we will use a leather and a wood. And we'll place an archer. And I'll place this one in Mercia. All right, so we've kind of rebuilt our forces. Currently our supply level is at 6. And we'll see the lordlings' next action. They have 1 noble remaining. And they're going to take the rush action. They do have less than 2 nobles. And they are eligible for a kingdom card at this point. They have a 2 to 3 majority, 2 out of 3 in Aquitaine. So they're going to gain the Duchy of Aquitaine, giving them 7 victory points. That will move them up to 28 victory points to our 11. The lordlings will not utilize that title for any purpose other than the 7 victory points. Lordlings are going to reclaim their noble tokens, and then they're going to remove the leftmost card from the display. We'll refresh that, and then they're going to gain some victory points. Currently, the lordlings have a total of 4 provinces. It's going to award them 3 additional victory points, moving them up to 31. 31 to 11. So the levied cavalry card is lost. That'll be discarded, and we'll see what else comes out on the display. Raid card is starting to move down the track, and it's going to be builds, technology, guilds. All right, so we have returned the noble tokens to the lordlings, and we're ready to take our turn. We have 4 nobles available. And I believe we are going to take a build action. I'll place a noble on build, and I believe we're going to build a city in Wessex. So take a city from the supply, placing that into Wessex along with the metallurgy facilities. It's going to cost us a wood and a stone. I'm going to have to use one of my gold to pay for that. I have a stone but no wood. That'll award us 2 culture points. So we'll gain 2 culture points. Now the track gets doubled up as we cross into this next stage. We basically only get 1 culture point for every 2 that we actually receive for the rest of the track. Now we're going to have to be careful. There is this reinforced card and raid card. Currently, the lordlings are only entitled to this card. So we'll have to be careful and think about, especially the raid card. That's something we're going to have to definitely address. Incidentally, I almost forgot, the lordlings, when they passed, had the Fibonacci card. And when they pass, they receive 1 victory point for that, and then the card comes back to us. So that's going to increase the lordlings up to 32 victory points, but we have the Fibonacci card now. Lordlings are up next. Their next action is going to be development of culture. We'll place a development of culture token on the display, and it says here that they are going to take the rightmost culture card. In this case, it is going to be the vassal Herriger of Lobes. In this case, under a vassal, it says build a church. So they are going to take this card, that'll be discarded, and they will build the church in the most profitable location. Now the Lordlings have already built a church in Aquitaine. So the choices will be Gascony, Provence, or Normandy. And I believe that the most profitable is going to be in Normandy. They're going to gain 5 for the church. There are no other churches in Normandy. That's 6. They gain 1 for the adjoiners. Brittany is independent. That's 7. Duchy of Lorraine is 8. And the connection to us in Wessex would be 9. So they're going to be building a church, gaining 9 victory points, moving them to 41 victory points. And they will be placing the church in Normandy. All right, that was a big haul for them. So we will refresh the offer, and now that reinforced card comes within their purview. And we've got advanced farming, and that is an excellent technology. We're up next, and I think we're going to have to deal with that raid card. So I'm going to be taking a development of culture action, and we're going to take the raid card. And this is what allows us that counterattack against the raiding party. We'll keep that in our hand. That is currently our second card in our hand. We'll refresh the offer. And this time we've got another vassal, Eric Bloodaxe. Okay. Well, given the choice of either the raid card or the reinforced card, I would much rather giving up the reinforced card if necessary. So we've taken that raid card off the table at least. And the Lordlings are up once again. This time they are going to recruit. All right, so they will take the recruit action. The second disc on the recruit action, and now they're going to place the rarest unit on the board. And at this time, the rarest unit will be a cavalry unit, and that's going to be going once again into Normandy. And we'll make a roll for their upgrade recruited unit type. 16 to 20 will upgrade their cavalry. They've got a 13, so we have managed to forestall that for the time being. We have 2 nobles remaining, and I believe we are going to undertake the research action. And we're going to improve one of our technologies, the burrs. So improving a technology will cost us 1 gold. We'll improve this up to the next level. And it says immediate. You may place a level of keep in every city you control without a keep. That's very powerful. So we're going to discard the gold, and we're going to gain a keep in each of our cities. So we're going to add a keep to Wessex, keep to Mercia, and a keep to Danelaw. All right. Now those keeps will not only earn us victory points at the end of the game, but they will also give us benefits in the case that we are attacked. For each level of keep, get a dice roll modifier if you're defending in that area or attacking or defending in a region adjacent to that location. In addition, if the keep is attacked, for each level of keep, we're going to reduce our opponent's battle strength by the level of the keep. So if Danelaw were to be attacked, it not only gets a transient archer, we would get a die roll modifier of +1, and in addition it would reduce the attacker's battle strength by 1, which is very powerful. Lordlings are up next. And they are going to persevere, so they will recruit once again. So they will replay the recruit action. Placing a disc there, it's going to give us a kick-out action, which is nice. And now they will recruit the rarest unit. Currently they have a total of 2 infantry, 2 cavalry, and 2 archers. So we'll go back to our tiebreakers. Currently their unit type with the highest level is both infantry and archers. So in this case, they will be building an infantry, and once again, it's going to be going into Normandy, the closest province to us. Right now, Normandy consists of 2 infantry, 2 archers, and 2 cavalry, so that would make that a very tough nut for us to crack. We won't have to worry about those forces necessarily attacking us, but if we want to invade the mainland, we'll have to do it probably somewhere other than Normandy. Now we have to make a d20 roll and see if they're going to upgrade, in this case, their infantry. Result is a 6, so we've avoided that. Now we're going to take our kick-out action. Our choices of the kick-out action will be either recruit or to take a wood or leather. And I think in this case, I'm going to take a leather. We'll place that token in the use nobles area, and I'll gain a leather token. We currently have 1 noble remaining. Now that reinforced card is still out on the board, and that would be the active card for the lordlings at this time. So we do have the opportunity to take a development of culture action and take that. Unfortunately, that would give them a kick-out action. We also have enough resources to build a fjord, their infantry, but that would require a recruit action, and again, giving them a kick-out. So I think rather than using our last noble, we're going to pass. We're not entitled to any kingdom cards at this time, so we will recover our discs and then remove the card from the display. So the Focal Hera card is going to be discarded. Other cards will slide down, and we'll see what we come up with next. And we've got the Chateau d'Angers. All right. Now we'll utilize our warehouse. We have 1 cell available, and I'm going to sell 1 of our metal. That's going to give us a total of 3 moves on the culture track. So we'll advance the culture track by 3. 1, 2, and 3. All right. Fortunately for us, our warehouse has been expanded now where we can hold 2 units. And that's what we're going to do. We'll hold a metal and leather. Now we're going to receive our resources. We're going to get a gold, and 1 resource of each is currently what we're entitled to. And we'll gain 1 of each from our controlled areas. So our commodities have been refreshed. We'll also refresh our kingdom card, and that will bring our pass action to a close. Lordlings will continue. They have 3 nobles in their supply, and they're going to take the maneuver action. And they have already prepared the maneuver action, so they're going to be taking that action, placing a noble disc there, and then they're going to move an infantry into a legitimate adjacent province and take control of it. So we'll roll the d20 and get a random province that will qualify for them. Result is a 19. A 19, and that is going to be Toulouse. So they have gained control of Toulouse. Barbarian token is removed. So the Lordling's preparation disc on the maneuver action is removed, and now it is our turn. We have 6 nobles. And I think we were going to begin with a development of culture action. I want to get rid of that reinforced card, and we'll take that off the display. I don't want them getting a upgrade to the raiders. So we'll take that card, put it in our hand, and then we can use that for a +1 die modifier if necessary. Cards will slide down, and now we will refresh the offer. And we've got the Chateau du Chamon. All right. Lordlings have 2 nobles available. Here's their next action. And they're going to do a build action. So we'll place a noble on build, and then we'll make a roll and see what they're going to build. Okay, here's the roll. And they have rolled a 13, and they're going to build 1 level of keep, the most adjacent controlled province. All right. And so if Normandy was not a tough enough nut to crack, they are going to build a keep in Normandy. That will affect the endgame scoring as well. All right, I think we are going to take a build action. So I'm going to place one of my nobles on build. It's the second token we're got on that action. And we're going to build another leather in Mercia. It's going to cost us a wood and a stone. We'll place a second leather production in Mercia. It's going to increase our leather production now to 3. For every building we have that is above the first one, those are worth 2. So if we were to build the third one, we'd be getting a total of 5 there. Right now we've got 3. That'll be our production level. I'm also going to be using my Kingdom of England card to reproduce that action one more time. And I'm going to increase our warehouse level by 1. Unfortunately, the next level of warehouse will cost us a stone. So we'll have to use a gold to do this, and we'll increase our warehouse to the next level. Now we've got 2 victory points coming for that at the end of the game. And this will also increase our cell up to 2. So we'll be able to advance on the culture track a little faster. Lordlings have 1 noble remaining. And they are going to do the rush. So that's what will happen. They're not eligible for a kingdom card at this point, so they're going to return all of their tokens. The plunder card is going to be removed from the display, and we will refresh our offer. That's going to be a Norseman card. They'll be gaining 2 culture points, 1 and 2. We'll shuffle their Lordling cards, and then they are going to gain victory points based on the number of provinces they control. They currently control 5 provinces, and that's going to give them 3 victory points. That's going to move their victory point total up to 44, and it is 44 to 11 right now. We have a total of 4 nobles. I'm going to be taking a recruit action. And we're going to recruit a unit. Now we don't know when that surprise card is going to come out, so I think I'm going to recruit a Fjord at a cost of 1 leather, and we'll put that into Danelaw. All right. Lordling's action will be development of culture. They'll place a token on development of culture, and they're going to be gaining Eric Bloodaxe, and that is a vassal. The vassal will order them to build a church. They've already constructed churches in Normandy and in Aquitaine, so that leaves us with Gascony or Provence. And in the case, I think it'll be Provence, because they're going to gain 5, nothing for that region, that's 6, and they have 1 adjoining for Toulouse, which will be 7. So we'll place a church there, and that'll earn them 7 victory points. It's going to move them up to 51. 51 to 11. And we'll refresh the culture offer. Another Norseman. All right, we have 3 nobles remaining, and I believe I'm going to take the recruit action. And what I'm going to do is build up a sizable force in Danelaw, and we're going to use that region and utilize our raid card, and we're going to launch an attack against the Saracen raiders, a counterattack. So I'm going to spend a leather, and we're going to produce another Fjord. We'll place that into Danelaw. Then what I'll do is I'm going to eventually use a maneuver action, and we'll maneuver either our cavalry or our archers into Danelaw, and then we will utilize that raid card. Now that will not require us to place a noble. We play that card in lieu of the noble and launch the attack on the Saracens. If we're able to win, we're going to gain a gold, and then we will be able to instantly take a unit type of the remaining Saracen raiders, however many there are, in the province we launched the attack from. If we lose, any remaining units will return to Danelaw and there will be no further effect. So I think that will be a good option for us. Raiders are up next. They have 5 nobles. And they're going to do a recruit action. All right. It's going to give us a kick out action, which is nice. Now we'll figure out what they are going to recruit. Based on the criteria and levels, they will be recruiting an archer in Normandy. We'll make a roll and see if they are going to upgrade their archer. They rolled a 12, and they will not. We'll take our kick out action now. Kick out will award us either a recruit action or take a wood or leather. And I think I'm going to take the recruit action. We're going to recruit another fjord in Danelaw, but unfortunately I'll have to spend a gold to pay for it. Our recruit action now is complete, and we'll place the fjord in Danelaw. So I've spent a gold, and we're placing another fjord in Danelaw. All right. Right now, our supply level is at 6, and currently we have a total of 6 units on the board. So we're at our maximum supply for right now. All right, we have 2 nobles remaining, and I think I am going to take a development of culture action for a couple reasons. First one is it's going to give us a kick out. And I'm going to develop, I believe, the guilds. That is going to give us an immediate 1 gold when we play that card. The other option would be advanced farming. And I don't wonder if that might be better. Yeah, we'll take the advanced farming. Put that into our hand. And then we'll refresh the offer. And this is leather suppliers. All right. Now we're going to take our kick out action. And I'm going to use, I believe, the regroup action. The regroup action allows us to make a move just as we would with maneuver, but we can't enter any enemy provinces, but we don't have to check for supplies either. So in this case, we'll use the regroup action, and we're going to move. Choice would be either our archers or our cavalry. Cavalry would have extra hit points in them, so I will move that into Danelaw, and then next turn, we're going to probably launch our raid against the Saracens. And we'll continue with the lordlings. And they're going to persevere, so they will be doing the recruit action once again. So we'll place one of their nobles on the recruit action. That's going to give us a kick out action, which is great. All right, the lordlings are going to place the rarest unit on the board, and it's going to go closest to our provinces, which is going to be, once again, Normandy, and they've got a force that's going to be untenable there. So far, we've got a total of 4 infantry, 3 archers, and 2 cavalry. So they're going to be recruiting a cavalry. And we'll place that in Normandy. What a force. Okay, we'll switch to our turn. And I'm going to be using my raid card. Played from the hand. Play this instead of placing a noble to counterattack the raiding party. Perform any army limit check. Okay. Well, our current supply level is 6, and we have a total of 6 units on the board. So we're going to be launching an attack on the Saracen raiders. Their force consists of 3 infantry, a cavalry, and archer. If we can win this, we're able to gain 1 gold, and then we'll be able to turn any surviving raiders for free to our side. So we'll set these forces up on the battle board. So this is the battle arrangement to start out with. There's going to be one Saracen archer in the volley phase. During the charge phase, they're going to have a cavalry, and 3 of their infantry are eligible for charges. They're only going to hit on a 6, but they will be able to charge. So this initial strike by the Saracens on their volley and charge phases will be the majority of where our losses are going to come from. All right, before the battle opens, our current battle strength is 9 for the attackers. We have 4 level 2 units, those are our fjords, and we have 1 level 1 light cavalry. The Saracens also have a battle strength of 9 currently. They have level 2 infantry and level 2 archers, but only level 1 cavalry. So we'll begin with the volley phase, and we'll start with the Saracen archers opening up on our forces. They're going to hit on a 3+. They've got a 6, so they're going to take a casualty. All of our units have 1 hit point with the exception of our light cavalry. So they're going to take an infantry as the casualty. We'll move on to the volley phase. We'll start with our cavalry attack, our charge. We're going to hit on a 5+. And we've missed. Now they are going to strike. They have 1 cavalry and 3 infantry, surprisingly enough, will have a charge effect. So they're going to be rolling 3 green and 1 red. They'll hit on 5s for the red dice and 6s for the green. They have no hits, thank goodness. Now we'll move to the melee phase. All right, in the melee phase, we're going to be rolling 3 green and 1 red die for our attacking force. We'll hit on a 6 on the red and 3s or better on the green. And we've got only 1 hit. So we will place a hit marker on those forces. Now they're going to fire, and they're going to have a blue, red, and 3 green dice for their battle. They're going to be hitting on 6s on the blue and red, and 4 or better on the greens. All right, well, they've got quite a few hits here. Matter of fact, they have 3 hits. So these are the casualties that we have to take. All right, we're going to take an archer from them as the casualty. They have to inflict a total of 3 damage to us, and they're going to take all of the fjords. So, calculating the final battle, they have a battle strength of 2, 4, 6, 7. We have a battle strength of 1, so we've lost the battle. Our forces will return back from whence they came, so our lone cavalry goes back to Danelaw, and these forces will go back onto the Saracen Raider card. Not good for us. So our lone cavalry returns back to Danelaw, and the Saracen Raiders now consist of 3 infantry and a cavalry. Now I did have a reinforced card I could have played that would have given us a +1 die modifier, but in this case the battle was lost. We weren't going to be able to generate that battle strength that we needed. So we'll return now to the Lordlings. Their next action is a rush. That won't happen. So this will get shuffled back in, and they are going to settle. And we'll see if they're able to do that, and they are. They're going to settle in Toulouse. That moves their supply level up to 9, and they're already earning 15 victory points for their farms already. So we're in dire straits here. We're losing 51 to 11. I have to find a way to generate some very big amount of victory points quickly. And for our kick-out action, I'm going to end up taking a leather, I believe. So we will gain a leather. And I think for our last noble, we're going to be taking a research action. and I'm going to be researching advanced farming. Immediate, remove one farm from your player board. All right, we'll do that. So we'll place our advanced farming in our third slot. It's worth 1 victory point, and we will get to remove one of our farms. That puts us up to supply level of 7, and we're earning 5 victory points for that. What this represents is the advanced farming. We're removing the farms from the display. They're not coming on the board, but it's making our farms more productive in essence. So it's a good card. We'll return to the lordlings. They have 3 nobles, and they're going to persevere. Persevere, they can't do settle, so they'll go back to the previous card will be your recruit action. So we'll place their token on the recruit action. It's going to give them a kick out, and they're going to recruit another unit. And based upon the priorities, it comes out they're going to recruit another archer in Normandy. So we'll place another archer in Normandy. What a force. All right, we have no nobles, so we're going to be passing. And we'll begin by using our Fibonacci card. And when we pass, we receive a victory point, and then the Fibonacci card goes to the lordlings. So we'll give that to them. That'll move us up to 12 victory points, something at least. And then we will refresh the offer. And I'm suspecting we're going to have a surprise card coming up soon, so that won't be good. It's cultural diffusion. All right. We'll take back all of our nobles. And we'll move to our warehouse. All right, our warehouse allows us 2 cells. So I'm going to sell both of my metal. It's going to give us an advancement of 6 points on the culture track. So we'll advance 6 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That gets us the gold. Our hold capacity in our warehouse is 2, so we'll keep on holding on to the leather. Now we're going to collect our resources, and this is where we're kind of shining for the moment in the game. We're going to be gathering quite a bit. We'll get metal, we'll get a wood, a stone, and we're going to get a total of 3 leather, which will be very useful for us. So our total resources now are 4 leather, a wood, metal, and a stone, and we're also going to gain another gold, which is always very useful. Lastly, we'll tip our card back for our kingdom card, and we're ready to go. Okay, the lordlings have 2 nobles remaining, and they're going to rush. Okay, we'll check the board and see if they're eligible for any kingdom cards. And they are not, so they're going to reclaim all of their discs, and the offer will refresh. Next card is military upgrade for light footman or long bowman. Lordlings will gain 2 culture points, and then they're going to get some victory points for the number of provinces that they control. They control 5 provinces. That will earn them 3 victory points, moving them up to 54. The score is 54 to 12. All that remains is we'll shuffle the lordlings deck, and we'll go back to our activation. And before we continue with our turn, I forgot about the Fibonacci card that the lordlings had. So they're going to gain 1 extra victory point, moving them up to 55, and then we're going to take possession of that card. Well, following our disastrous attack on the Saracens, we need to rebuild our forces. So I'm going to be undertaking a recruit action. So we'll pay a leather, and we're going to recruit an infantry in Danelaw. Lordlings have 6 nobles, and their first card is Rush. They cannot play that. It'll be shuffled back in. They're going to do research, and they will use one of their preparation discs on research. And for our next action, I think we're going to take the recruit action once again. And we're going to recruit another fjord, the cost of 1 leather. And we'll place that in Danelaw. Lordlings are up next. They have 6 nobles. And this time they're going to maneuver, so they will place their preparation disc on maneuver. Well, I desperately need to improve my military technologies. Unfortunately, the only military technology on the table is light footmen and longbowmen. The longbowmen I cannot use because I'm still at level 1 for my archers. The level 2 light footmen are inferior to my fjords, so I'm going to have to wait until some military technology cards come on the board and try to take advantage of those. In the meantime, I think I'm going to continue with my recruiting actions, and I'm going to use my kingdom card to do that twice. So we're going to take another recruit action that'll give us a kick out, which is good. And I'm going to build another fjord, paying a leather and placing that in, once again, Danelaw. That's the target of where the Saracens will attempt to attack. For our kick out action, I'm going to take a wood. Then we're going to double down and we'll use our kingdom card, and we're going to take our recruit action again, and I'm going to produce another fjord, and that will be another leather, and we'll place that also in Danelaw. So Ethelfled has been able to reconstitute her forces in Danelaw. We've got a total of 4 fjords and 1 light cavalry there. I think we can supplement that with our archer in Mercia if we can get that moved over. Next lordling action is going to be settle. Place a farm in a random lordling controlled province that does not have a farm. They won't be able to execute that. So it says draw another card instead. And we're going to persevere, so they're going to be doing the maneuver action. All right, so we will place a token on maneuver, removing their support token, and they'll do maneuver. So we're going to roll a random province. We'll keep rolling until we get one that is a qualified province, and they'll place an infantry there, removing any barbarians. They roll a 4. That's going to be up in East Anglia. 18. 18 is Gascony. They already have that. A 6. A 6 is going to be Flanders, and that is a viable province. We'll place their force in Flanders, removing the barbarian token. Now they have a foothold in Lorraine. And I think we are going to execute a build action at this time. We'll place our token on build, and I'm going to build a church, and we're going to use our Fibonacci card. And that says, build a church at a 1 wood discount. The card will then go to the lordlings. Church normally costs 2 wood and a stone, but we have that discount because of Fibonacci. So we'll place a church, and I'm going to place that in Mercia. And we'll gain a few victory points there, not a lot, but a few. So we'll place that in Mercia, and that is now fully developed city. And we're going to gain a total of 5 for the church, 1 for the Kingdom of England that has no churches, plus 1 for Wales. That's an independent kingdom. So we'll get 5, 6, 7 victory points, moving us up to a total of 19. So the score at present is 55 to 19 in favor of the lordlings. Lordlings have a total of 5 nobles remaining, and they're going to persevere, so that means they're going to perform the maneuver action 1 more time. So that will place the preparation disc back on maneuver for them. It's our turn. We have 2 nobles. Now, part of the strategy of the game also is when we want to try to move towards these endgame conditions. Right now there's 3 churches left on the display. When the 3 churches are built by either us or the Lordlings, we're going to go to an endgame situation. Right now we're so far behind, we don't want that. So we have to be careful with that. In addition, we also have to worry about how many cities are left in the supply. There's a total of 4 left in the supply. So we've got some time there. And we're definitely not close with the culture track or our cards. So we're in pretty good shape at this point. The Lordlings have another endgame condition, and that's where they have a total of 9 military or technical improvements. Right now they've only got 2 in their military upgrades. They have no technical cards that they've required. And I think for our next action, we're going to take a research action. And we're going to spend a gold and we're going to improve one of our technology cards. So we're going to spend the gold and we're going to improve one of our technologies. I'm going to select staple rights. We're going to move that up to the next level. Gets us 3 victory points, and it says whenever you pass, you may advance on your warehouse track once before selling resources, spending normal costs. All right. Lordlings still have 5 nobles to place. Here's their next card. It's going to be development of culture. So we'll place the development of culture noble in that space, and they're going to gain a Norseman card. They will gain the Norseman card, and we'll find out what they gain for a Norseman card. And they're going to add a Raider to the Raider card. So we'll consult our player aid card and see what type of unit they are going to deploy. Result is a 13, and they're going to be adding a cavalry unit. So we'll add a cavalry unit to the Saracen Raiders. They've got 2 cavalry and 3 infantry. We have 1 noble remaining, and this is where it starts to get tricky. We have the ability to build, in Danelaw, we could build another stone production facility that would end up costing us a wood and a stone. I don't have any stone left, but we could use our gold to substitute for that. That's one option. Another option is to build a city in East Anglia. And that would eventually allow us to start building units there, and we could finally make the crossover into the continent and into the Duchy of Lorraine at Friesland. I think that makes the most sense. So we're going to take a build action. And we're going to build a city. City is going to cost us a wood and stone. I'll have to use a wood and a gold to pay for it. And we'll place the city in East Anglia. That'll incorporate in the woodcutters. And we're going to gain 2 culture points. So our culture track will move up 2. And right now we're at 3 victory points for our culture track, which is at least something. And I forgot earlier, we have to refresh our offer. And the new card is Alan II, Twisted Beard. And he is a vassal. It's got a pretty good activation there. It says remove a barbarian token from a province neighboring your capital. You may move any number of units from a neighboring province into that province. Very interesting. The next action for the Lordlings, they have 4 noble tokens, is recruit. So they're going to take a recruit action. That's going to get us a kick out, which is always nice. And they're going to recruit. Once again, they're going to be recruiting in Normandy. That's the closest province to us. Once again, based on the tiebreakers, they're going to be recruiting another archer in Normandy. What a force. All right, we have no nobles remaining, so we're going to have to pass. We're not entitled to any kingdom cards, so we will refresh the offer. And I have a hunch that we're going to be getting some type of raider card. No, we have another great building. Chateau de Dove-la-Fontaine. All right. Almost forgot we had a kick-out action that we were available to take, and I'm going to use that to take a wood. So we'll gain a wood. Next, we get to go with our warehouse. We have 2 sell available. And we do have staple rights. It says whenever you pass, you may advance on your warehouse track once before selling resources, spending normal costs. Well, we don't have any stone to do that with, so we won't be able to take advantage of that, but we can use the sell option. We have 2 units that we can sell, a wood and a metal. I think I'll sell the metal, and that'll get us 3 points on the culture track. And we'll advance ourselves 3 points on the culture track. And currently we're up to 4 victory points. We're able to hold 2 units. We have 1 unit of wood. So now we'll go to our production. Our production consists of 3 leather, metal, wood, and a stone. In addition, we'll gain a gold coin, and we will refresh our kingdom card, and we're ready for our next round. Lordlings have 3 nobles. And they're going to take the rush action. They cannot. So we will another card, and that's build. So they'll take a build action. And we'll find out what they're going to build. They've rolled a 6, and that's going to be a city, and they're going to gain 2 culture points. They currently have 2 locations where that they can build a city in, Toulouse and Flanders. So we'll make a die roll, odd and even. Odd for Toulouse, even for Flanders. And it is an 11. So that is odd. It's going to be built in Toulouse. And that is going to give them 2 culture points. So they're going to incorporate in their leather tanning operations. And they've gained a city in Toulouse. We have 2 cities left in the supply. And they'll rise 2 points on the culture track. I think for our first action, we're going to do a research action, and we're going to use gold to increase one of our technologies, in this case, advanced farming. So we're going to spend the gold, and we're going to increase advanced farming to the next level. It'll be worth 4 victory points, and it says reduce the costs of building a farm by 1 wood. So that'll help us. We need to build farms now in order to increase our supply limit. Right now we have 7 supply limit. We're currently at 6 armies on the board, or 6 units. So we'll need to increase that before we can launch our proposed attack into Friesland. Lordlings will go. We know this is going to be the rush card, and it is. And we'll check to see if they're eligible for any kingdom cards. Not at this time, so they're going to recover all of their discs. We'll shuffle their deck. The Fibonacci card is going to give them 1 victory point, and that'll be transferred to us. The offer will be refreshed, and we'll see what dangers befall us next. And it is a military upgrade. Light footmen or heavy knights. Unfortunately, we need to get something other than infantry at a level 2 for us to be able to use it. Lordlings will gain 2 culture points, and then they're going to gain victory points based on controlled provinces. They currently have 6 controlled provinces, giving them 5 victory points, moving them up to 61. So we've got to start taking these provinces back to lower that. Otherwise, they're gaining a lot more victory points than we are per round. All right, I think we are going to take a build action, and we're going to build a farm. Farms normally cost 2 wood, but because we have advanced farming, reduce the cost of building a farm by 1. So we're going to spend 1 wood. And we will build a farm, and I think we will build that in East Anglia. So we'll build a farm in East Anglia. That's the second one there. That also helps with defense. And we've moved up now to a supply level of 8 with 10 victory points coming at the end of the game. Lordlings have 6 nobles. Their action is persevere. They can't do that. Persevere, can't do that. And settle. Let's see if they can use the settle action. Yes, they can, and that can be done in Flanders. So they're going to place a farm in Flanders, and that moves them up to a supply level of 10 with 20 victory points. We have 4 nobles available. I'm going to take the development of culture action, and we're going to take Alan II Twisted Beard. What happens is we place these vassals off to the side of our board, and then we can spend a noble to activate that once per round and then take the action he provides. And in this case, it'll be to remove a barbarian token from a province neighboring our capital. You can move any number of units from the neighboring province into that province. So we'll be able to take Wales this way. Now we'll refresh the culture offer. And we've got leather suppliers again. All right. Lordlings are up. And they've got the recruit action. Okay, so they'll take the recruit action. And they'll recruit the rarest unit. And in this case, it's going to be a cavalry unit in Normandy once again. What a force they have. We have 3 nobles remaining, and I think we are going to use the action, build action. And we're going to build a church in East Anglia. Church normally costs 2 wood and a stone, but we have the Fibonacci card and we can pay 1 less wood. So it'll be 1 wood and 1 stone will get us a church, and we're going to build that in East Anglia. So we're going to gain a church in East Anglia, and that'll be worth 5 victory points. There is already a church in Mercia, so we won't gain anything for that, but we will gain +1 for the Duchy of Lorraine. There are no churches there, so we'll have a total of 6 victory points. That'll move us up to at least 25, and that will help in the scoring at the end of the game as well. All right, Lordlings have 5 nobles. And they're going to use the rush card. They cannot. Next card is persevere. They will do the recruit action again. Wow. Okay, so we'll take another recruit action. They're running out of units. And they're going to be recruiting cavalry unit in Normandy. And I'm going to be using our vassal. We're going to use Alan II Twisted Beard. We'll place a noble on there. We'll be able to remove a barbarian token from a province neighboring our capital, and then we can move any number of units from a neighboring province into that province. That's what we'll do in Wales. So we'll remove the barbarian token from Wales, and then we're going to move in our archer from Mercia into Wales, taking military control of that along with its wood production facilities. All right, the Lordlings' next action is going to be a maneuver action, and they have already prepared that, so they will maneuver. All right, the Lordlings have 2 infantry left in their supply, so they will be able to maneuver, and we'll roll and see which province they're going to maneuver into. Result is a 13, and that is Upper Lorraine. That is not adjacent to any provinces that they control. We'll have to continue rolling. A 12. That's going to be Champagne, and that one is available. So they're going to place an infantry unit in Champagne. Barbarian is removed, and they've got control of another province. We have 1 noble remaining, so our choices are to pass or to use that noble in some action. We have no gold. We have 3 leather and 1 metal. I'd like to take the recruit action, but that's going to give them a kick out, so I don't necessarily want to do that. We don't have the ability to take advantage of the building action, so that leaves us with maneuver or research or development of culture. Well, I think we're going to take the development of culture action and we're going to utilize our Kingdom of England card, so we can take that twice. And we're eligible up to this position. We can take any of these cards. I guess we'll take leather suppliers, and when we play that, we'll receive a leather for free. We'll put that in our hand. That'll move the offer down. Then we will take that action again with our Kingdom card, and that's a Norseman card. So right now we're looking in this range. And I, of course, need military upgrades, but none of them are going to be helpful to us because we've already got level 2 infantry, which are superior to these. And I can't use the alternates, which are level 3. So I guess we will take the Chateau de Dove La Fontaine. We'll take that card. These will slide down again. And this time we've got cultural conquest. All right. Lordlings have 3 nobles. And they've got the build action. That is going to give us a kick out, which is awesome. We'll find out what they're going to build. We're getting close on both cities and on churches. So we don't want one of those to happen. The result is a 12, and they're going to build a level of keep in the most adjacent controlled province. Okay, that's the best we could have hoped for. So they're going to build their second level keep in Normandy. All right. We have no nobles remaining, so we'll have to pass. We are not eligible for a kingdom card. We'll regain our nobles. Well, I got to take my kick out action. I haven't done that yet. Let me do that right now. It gives us either a wood, leather, or a cultural exchange. And I think we might end up using the cultural exchange. Let's read about that. That says when you take the cultural exchange reaction, select one of 2 options. Discard a culture card of any type, including any technology you started the game with, from your hand to gain a gold. Or spend a gold to take any culture card from the offer. Well, I think we're going to take the first one, and we're going to try to get rid of a card that we likely won't be able to play to gain a gold. And I think that's our best bet. Well, we'd be hard-pressed to try to play this card because of the requirements of 4 stone. So I'm going to discard that, and we'll gain a gold. And I think that would be good for us. Now we're going to refresh the offer and see if we can get some military upgrade cards on the board. And we did. Level 2 knights or level 2 light footmen. Well, the knights would definitely be in order for us. We'll move on to our warehouse, and we have a total of 2 sail and 2 hold. I can't use our staple rights. I don't have any stone to upgrade the warehouse with. That's something we're going to have to work on, take advantage of that. So we will use our sell ability, and I think we are going to sell metal and 1 leather. That'll give us a total of 4 moves on the culture track. 4 movements on the culture track. 1, 2, 3, 4. That moves us up now to the 5th card, and we've got 9 victory points and another gold, which is awesome. Our warehouse allows us to store 2 commodities, and we'll keep the 2 leather. And now with the acquisition of Wales, we're going to be getting a metal, 2 wood, 3 leather, and a stone. Quite a haul. So our commodities are rushing into the coffers here, but time is now becoming a problem. We have to get moving quickly. We've tipped our kingdom card back to operational status, and we're ready for another lordling turn. Lordlings have 2 discs available, and they're going to do development of culture. All right, that is going to gain them a technology card, which they are going to keep. They can't use it, but they'll keep it. That'll help them in the scoring. And once again, I forgot to update the culture display. Take care of that now. And we've got armor smithing. Interesting. Well, I think we are going to take a development of culture action, and I'm going to claim those knights. That's going to help us. We'll shift this down and get out another card, and it's Trebuchet. Lordlings have one noble, and they're going to do the research action, which they have already prepared. So we will place a Lordling token on the research action, returning their prep, and now they are going to perform the research action. We'll make a roll. They've rolled a 12, and they're going to upgrade a Lordling unit. Make another roll, consulting the player aid, and see what they're going to upgrade. They've rolled a 2, and that is going to be their infantry again, so their infantry will move up to the next higher, level 2. Moves them up to 2 hit points with a 4+ in melee. I'm going to play a research action, and we're going to get that Knight's military upgrade into play. So we're going to upgrade our Knights from light cavalry into Knights. It'll cost us a gold. But now our Knights are 2 hit points, and they have a charge of 4+ and a melee of 5+, and that's a big help. The Lordlings have no discs remaining, so they will pass, and they are eligible for a kingdom card. They have half of West Franks. That'll get them 8 victory points, moving them up to 69. In addition, the Lordlings will surrender the Fibonacci card, giving them an extra victory point, moving them up to 70. And then we're going to refresh the offer. We'll see what happens with this. And this time we've got Javelineers and Housecarl mercenaries. That's level 2 archers and level 3 infantry. They're going to gain 2 culture points, moving them up to the 4th card, and now they're going to gain victory points for the number of cities, or I should say for the provinces that they control. They control 7 provinces, and that'll get them 5 victory points, moving them up to 75. The score is 75 to 25. For our turn, I'm going to start out with a recruit action, and we will take the recruit action. I'm going to build one of our knights. We're going to need a total of 2 metal and 1 leather. I only have 1 metal, so we'll have to use a gold to pay for that. That'll get us a knight. And we're going to place that in East Anglia. That'll be our invasion force starting to be built to go against Friesland. I'm also going to be expending my kingdom card. We'll tip that, and we're going to perform another build action, building a fjord at a cost of 1 leather. And we'll place that in the same location as well, in East Anglia. So now we've got 2 level 2 units out there. Lordlings have 6 nobles, and they're going to maneuver. They have already prepared for that. They'll place a maneuver disc down, reclaiming the preparation disc, and now we'll find out where are they going to maneuver. They have 1 infantry available to maneuver with. We'll roll for a random province until we can find one that is eligible. Roll is a 16, and that is in Cisjordania. Okay, that's where it's going to be. So we'll place a infantry in Cisjordania, removing the barbarians. I'm going to take the recruit action, giving us a kick out, and we are going to recruit a fjord. Cost of 1 leather. And for the kick out action, we're going to do a recruit action, and we're going to do the same. And we will spend another leather, placing another fjord in East Anglia. We have a pretty sizable invasion force there for our coming attack into Friesland. That's great. Lordlings have 5 nobles, and they're going to persevere doing the maneuver action again. We'll have them place a preparation disc on maneuver. That will be the extent of their actions. We have 1 action remaining, and I'm going to take the maneuver action. And we're going to launch an attack across the seas on the continent in Friesland. So we're going to check our supply level. We have a current supply level of 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we're 2 past. So we have the choice of eliminating units or spending gold to preserve those units. What I'm going to do is eliminate one of our units in Danelaw, and I'm going to pay a gold to support the other units. I think we will do it that way. Now the entire force in East Anglia will travel across the sea to Friesland, and we're going to be fighting against 2 barbarian infantry, an archer, and a bonus archer from the trophies area. We'll set that up on the battle board. And we're ready for the battle. The barbarians have 2 archer units which are going to hit out of 3+, so hopefully we can survive this initial onslaught. They have 2 hits. All right, 2 hits. They're going to take out 2 fjords. Not what we wanted. Next we'll move on to the charge phase, and we have now our knights, which are going to hit on a 4+. And we've failed. Okay, so we will move on to the melee phase. And these forces now are active in the melee phase. All right, we'll start the melee phase, and we will begin with our attack. We'll be hitting on 5 for red and 3+ for green. And we've got 1 hit. Okay, so we'll place a hit marker on them. They're going to respond with 2 blue dice and 2 green dice. And they're going to be hitting on a 6 for the blue and a 4+ for the green. All right, they have no hits with the blue, but they do have 1 hit with their infantry. And they're going to take that as a casualty. Our fjord will be taken. We're going to take 1 of their bowmen. And now we'll calculate the battle size. We have a level 2 knight. They have level 2 archers and infantry. So we've lost 6-2, and we have to retreat. So once again, our cavalry have not done the job, and the barbarians are still in control of Friesland. And I've come to the realization that I am not as good as Ethelfled was in leading forces on the battlefield. That is for certain. Lordlings have 5 discs, and they're going to take the recruit action. You only have 1 unit left to recruit. So we'll place the disc on the recruit action. That's going to give us a kick out. And they are going to recruit their last unit in Burgundy, and that is a archer. They've got a full complement there. We're able to take a kick out action, and I'm going to take the recruit action and try and rebuild my forces. And I think we will spend a leather and a wood. Now I'll use a leather to build a fjord. We will do that. Those have a level 2. So we'll place a fjord in East Anglia. Lordlings have 4 nobles, and they're going to build. Place that on the build action. And we'll find out what they will build. Here's the roll. They've rolled a 15, and that's going to be a farm closest to us where they already have a farm. Well, that is going to be in Flanders. That is the closest location to us that already has space for a farm. So they're going to place another farm in Flanders, moving up their supply level to 11, and 25 victory points for farms. Wow. Okay, we're going to have to pass, so we are not entitled to any cards. We're going to surrender the Fibonacci card to the lordlings, giving us 1 victory point, moving us up to 26, and then we will reclaim our nobles. Next, we're going to refresh our offer. And I'm almost confident that there is going to be some type of Raider card coming out. It is. It's a reinforced card. All right. So the Raider disc remains in Danelaw. And now we have to make a roll for this reinforcement. And we'll find out what they are going to do with that. Result is an 18, and they're going to upgrade a Raider. So we'll be making another roll, determining what kind. Rolls a 15, consulting the player card. It's going to be their cavalry units will be upgraded from level 1 to level 2. All right. And I think we are going to do a build action, and I'm going to construct another stone production facility in Danelaw. So we're reproducing a facility already in the province that'll cost us 1 wood and 1 stone. And then we'll be able to add another stone production facility to Danelaw. And that will help us generate some stone. We'll have 3 stone production now, which will help. Lordlings have 3 nobles. And they're going to settle. And they can do that. They're able to settle in Cisjordania or in Compiègne. So we'll have them roll odd or even. And it is odd, so they're going to be placing a farm in Cisjordania. And that's going to move them up to 30 victory points for their farms. Wow. We have 5 nobles left. I'm going to take the research action, and we're going to play our final technology card, Leather Suppliers. So we're going to play Leather Suppliers at level 1. And that says immediately after you pass, receive 1 leather. It has currently no victory point value to it. All right. Lordlings have 3 nobles. And they're going to rush. They can't do that. They will research, and they will place a prep on research. We'll shuffle the rush card back in. We have 4 nobles remaining. I'm going to take Development of Culture, and we're going to take the Javelins and Housecarl Mercenaries card. Refresh the offer, and there's the surprise card. There it is. Okay. When this card is added to the culture roll, we're going to roll a die, and then we will discard and replace it immediately. So let's find out. I have a hunch we're going to be attacked. Here's the roll. Roll is a 17, and that says upgrade Raider and then attack. Okay, so we have to get rid of that card and upgrade, get a new card immediately. It's another Norseman card. So upgrade a Raider and attack. So we will upgrade our Raider by rolling a die. And it's a 4, and they're going to upgrade their infantry. So the Raider infantry now becomes the higher level 2, and they're going to launch a raid. And the target of their raid is going to be Danelaw. Now we're going to be gaining an archer unit, a transient archer unit, because of the fact that it's a city. So we'll gain a transient archer. We also have a farm present. It's going to give us a transient infantry for that. And we'll also have 1 level of keep, which is going to give us a +1 die roll modifier, and we will also be reducing the enemy's battle strength by 1 at the end of the battle. So we'll set this up on the battle board. All right, this time we are on the defense, and we're going to begin with our archers. They're going to hit on a 4+, and we'll use our volley phase. Hopefully we can do some damage to these units. And we failed. Okay, so we'll move to the charge phase. Now, unfortunately, the barbarians get a charge with their infantry. We don't. So they're going to be rolling 3 green dice for their charging infantry and 2 red for their charging cavalry. They're going to hit on 5s. And they have 1 hit. All right, they're going to take that from the fjord. We have to take the transient units first. Now we get to fire back with 1 defending cavalry unit, and our cavalry during the charge phase is 4+. Here's the roll. No hits. We'll move to the melee phase. All right, in the melee phase, we still get a +1 die roll modifier that we can use. So we'll start with the attack. They're going to be rolling 2 red and 3 green. The reds will hit on 6s, the greens on 4s. Okay, they're going to have 3 hits. Oh boy. Total of 3 hits. We'll mark them with 3 hits. And now we get to fire back. We're going to have 1 blue, 1 red, and 3 green. And we'll be hitting on a 6 for blue, 5 for red, and 3 for green. Wow, that's some terrible rolls. Okay. We have a +1 die roll modifier. It won't be enough to change any of the effects there. So that is the status, 2 hits. Now we'll apply the hits and then calculate the battle damage. Well, we've got 3 hits against us. They're going to take 1 against the transient unit. These are all level 1 hit points, rather. We have 2 hits, and we will take them against the infantry. That'll take care of all of the damage. And now we're going to gain +1, or they're going to lose 1 battle strength because of our keep. So their total right now, these are level 1, 1, 2, and they have level 2 infantry. They have 4, -1 is 3. We have level 2 knights and level 2 fjords, 4. So we've won 4-3. Thank goodness. For winning that battle, we're going to gain a gold, and then we discard all units and tokens from the raiding party. That's awesome. And finally, following the battle, regardless of the results, we're going to place 2 barbarian tokens on this Saracen Raiders card. And the 2 barbarian tokens are an infantry and cavalry, and an infantry and archer. Okay, that's the new values for the Saracen Raiders. So our surviving units return to Danelaw. We have a knight and a fjord. And if we would have lost this battle, I think that would have been the end of the game. That would have been too difficult for us to recover from. All right, the lordlings have 3 nobles, and they're going to rush. They can't do that yet, so they're going to persevere. That means they're going to take the research action again. That has been prepped, so they'll place a noble on research, returning the preparation disc, and they're going to take that research action again. So we'll make a die roll and see what they're going to do. We need a d20. Here's the roll. They've rolled an 18, and that's 2 victory points plus a victory point for each common tech. Well, they have 1 common tech, so that's a total of 3 victory points, moving them up to 78. The score is 78 to 26. And I have to say, with this game, this is so good. I don't even care if I lose. It's so much fun playing this with all of the different interactions and the strategy behind this. I hope I can get better at this and actually defeat the lordlings. I think I have to revise my strategy a little bit, but for right now I'm having a blast with this. I really am. So the persevere card is used. We're going to shuffle the rush card back in, and that's the end of their turn, and we'll go to us. All right, we've got a total of 3 nobles available, and I think we are going to use the research action. That's going to get us a kick out. And I'm going to use the research to upgrade our archers to level 2, and we've got javelineers now. It's going to cost us a gold though, so we will pay a gold, and then we will upgrade our archers to javelineers. That will help quite a bit. So now we've got all level 2 units of the base units, which is great. Okay, our kick-out action will allow us to either take wood or stone, or sell goods, or trade iron for gold. Unfortunately, I don't have any iron left, but it says sell goods. When you take this reaction, select one of 2 options. Spend an iron to gain a gold, or sell any one resource to gain culture points according to the trade value chart. All we have is a wood that would get us 1 culture point, and I think we will not take that, so I think I will take a stone instead, and that'll be our kick-out action. Okay, the lordlings are up next. They have 2 nobles, and they are going to take the rush, so that will be their pass option. We'll see if they're eligible for any more of those kingdom cards. I don't believe so. No, they're not. Yes, they are. They are eligible for them because they have 2 of 3 provinces in Provence. So they're going to gain the Kingdom of Burgundy on top of it for another 7 victory points, moving them up to 85. The score is 85 to 26. Now they'll take their pass options. So we'll have them recover all of their tokens. And then we're going to refresh the display and see what else is going to come out. And we've got another surprise card. Oh boy, not good. We're going to have to make a roll and see what the surprise is. Okay, here's the roll. Rolled a 2. Add and upgrade a raider. Okay, that's better than it could have been. So the surprise card is removed. We replace that immediately. And this is a cognomen card, the usurper. Okay, so we got to add and improve a raider. So we'll start by adding a raider, and we'll make a die roll using the player aid to see what it is. 17, that's going to be an archer. So we're going to add an archer to their total. And then now we have to upgrade one of the types of units. Here's the roll. They rolled a 10, and that is going to upgrade their cavalry. So the Raider cavalry is now level 2. And now they get extra bonuses in there. 4+ on charge and 6+ on melee. Okay. So we'll continue on with their pass. We have to give them 2 culture points, and then they're going to gain victory points based on the provinces. So 2 culture points. That moves them up to 2 victory points there. And now we got to add up the number of provinces they have. Let's take a look at the map. Okay, they control 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 provinces. 8 provinces gives them 8 victory points. That moves them from 85 to 93 victory points. Wow. So the only way we can shut them down is for us to invade. and to try to take these provinces away from them, and then that'll lower the amount of victory points that they're getting every turn. That's one way for sure. Well, I would like to use the recruit action, but I don't have any materials with which to purchase anything. I have no gold left, and I've got a stone and a wood. So the only thing we can use that for would be to build a city. But I don't want to do that because we only have 2 cities left in the supply. And if they build a city and we do, we'll go into the end game situation, and I'm way behind in points, so I don't think we want to do that. Let's see what else we could do. What we could do is build a production building, and I think we will do that. That'll cost us a wood and a stone, so I have that. We'll pay the wood and the stone, and we'll produce the same kind of production facility as is located in that area, and we're going to do that in Wessex. That'll get us another metallurgy, or blacksmith, whatever you want to call it. So we've done that, and we're going to be taking the build action. I'll place that on build. We have 1 noble remaining. There's 2 tokens on the build action. And incidentally, I forgot about the Fibonacci card. They're going to give that back to us, but they'll receive another victory point, moving them up to 94. Okay, now they're going to take their action, and they've got the build action. We'll place that on building. We'll give us a kick out, and now we got to roll to see what they're going to build. Hopefully it's not a city or a church. They've rolled a 3, and that is a city. Okay. So they're going to build a city closest to us, and that's going to be in Flanders. They'll attach the leather production to that, and that's going to give them 2 culture points. So 2 more culture points moves them up to 3 victory points in that department. And there's only 1 city left. So as soon as we build it or they do, that will set off the end of game sequence. What happens with that is both of us will receive we'll take a pass action immediately, and then we receive all of our nobles back, and then we play through all of those nobles one more time, and then that will be the end of the game, and then we would institute all the scoring. Now, I did get a kick-out action, and well, I don't have any supplies, so I guess we will take wood or leather, and I guess we'll take a wood. So we'll do that. I'll gain a wood token. That'll be our kick-out action. And we have 1 noble remaining. And I think we'll use our final noble to take a development of culture action. And we'll take this military development. Now that we're at level 2 on our archers, we can advance it eventually up to longbowman level 3. So we will do that. We'll take that card, put it in our hand, then we'll refresh the offer and see what happens. Wood suppliers. Okay. We'll move back to the lordlings. Now, what would be par for the course is for the lordlings to get a persevere card, perform the build action again, and then build the last city. That's probably what will happen. Let's see if I can predict this. We've got the persevere card. What else would it be? Okay, so they're going to redo the build action. We'll place one of their markers on build. That's going to get us a kick out, and we'll see what they're going to build. Probably a city. They've rolled a 12, and that's going to be build a level of keep in the most adjacent controlled province. So they're going to build a 3rd level of keep in Normandy. So they'll get a 3rd level of keep in Normandy. It's as high as you can go. Okay, it easily could have ended the game if they would have rolled a city. It would have been par for the course. We have no nobles left, so we're going to have to pass. Okay, we're not eligible for any kingdom cards, so we'll take back all of our tokens. Okay, and then we will refresh the offer. And this is levied archers. Okay. All right, now we will go to our warehouse. Our warehouse gives us 2 cells and 2 holds. I think we'll sell the leather because I'm going to be getting a ton of it from our normal operations. So we'll sell that for 1. That'll get us a 1-point movement on the culture track. Okay, next is the hold. We have nothing to hold. So then we will gain our resources. And one of those is going to be gold. And then we'll calculate all of the resources that we're going to get. And we got a lot of resources. We've got 3 metal, 3 leather, 3 stone, and 2 wood. All right. So we have to discard our Fibonacci card, giving us 1 victory point, and then we can reset our Kingdom of England card. That's our turn. So that moves us up to 27 victory points. The lordlings have the Fibonacci card, and they'll continue on. They have 4 nobles. They're going to play Development of Culture, and they're going to gain the Usurper cognomen card. These cognomen cards give them 5 victory points. It's discarded, and they gain 5. That's going to move them up to 99 victory points. Wow. Now we'll refresh the offer. And it is quadrivium. Okay. Well, it is our turn. We have plenty of materials, and I think we're going to do a recruit action. So I'm going to use the recruit, and along with that, we're going to tip our Kingdom of England card, and we'll perform the recruit twice. So right now, our force in East Anglia, which is our invasion force for Friesland, consists of a cavalry and an infantry. So let's see here. We need a good mix of things. I need more, I think, in the volley phase. So we're going to build some javelineers. That'll be a wood and a leather, and that'll get us an archer unit that we'll place in East Anglia. And then we can repeat that one more time because we're using our kingdom card. So I think we will gain a knight. That'll be a leather and 2 metal. And that'll get us another knight. And that should make us pretty powerful. And that will be the end of the round for us, for action I should say. Lordlings have 3 nobles. And they are going to settle. Let's see if they can settle. Yes, they can, and that is going to place a farm in Compiègne. So we'll take a farm. They only have 1 farm left, and they are going to be getting 35 victory points just for their farms. It's amazing. All right, we've got 5 nobles. I'm going to take the research action, and we're going to spend a gold, and we're going to bring in our long bowmen. Now these long bowmen hit on a 2+ during the archery phase. It's absolutely amazing. So we're going to upgrade our javelineers to long bowmen, and those are a level 3 unit. Lordlings still have 3 nobles, and they're going to recruit. So we'll place that on the recruit action, and well, they don't have anything to recruit. They can't do it. So it says here, I'll have to check that. If they don't have any more things to recruit, I'm not sure what we do. Let me check the book. Well, it doesn't say. So it doesn't say if not, then pick another card. So I guess all they're going to get out of it is a possible upgrade. So we'll roll the die. They've rolled a 4, so they will get no upgrade. Okay. All right, we've got 4 nobles. I'm going to take the recruit action again. That's going to get us a kick out after we're done. And I am going to recruit a fjord. That'll cost us 1 leather. And I'm going to place that in East Anglia. So we've got a fairly sizable force up there ready for our invasion of Friesland. And now we've improved our units, so we should be able to do better. Our kick-out action will be another recruit or take a wood or leather. Well, I don't have any more leather available, and so I think we will do that then. I'll take a wood or leather, we'll take a leather and I'll replace that into our supply, and that will end our action. Lordlings are up next, and they're going to do research, and they will use their preparation disc on the research. Okay, we've got 3 nobles remaining. All right, I think we're going to try the maneuver action again. We're going to try an amphibious invasion in Friesland, so we'll take the maneuver action, and I'll just have to hope that our forces will perform better than they have. So we're going to move into Friesland. They're going to be defending with 2 infantry, an archer, and an extra archer from the trophies box. So that's what we will be up against. Okay, I've got the units on the battle board, and I think I've been making an error. I forgot about this. When you're fighting against the barbarians are always level 1. They never increase in level. I've been using the values for the lordlings. Now, if you're fighting against the lordlings, they have their own ability. If you're fighting against the Saracen raiders, they have their own special abilities, but the barbarians always use their level 1 values. So right now, we're going to start out with a volley phase. We have 1 longbowman. He's going to hit on a 2+. We rolled a 6. So we've scored a hit on those opposing archers. They're going to fire with 2 units, hitting on a 4+. They have no hits. So we'll institute 1 damage taken from, maybe we'll take the melee since they haven't attacked yet. We'll do that. Okay, now we're going to move to the charge phase. In the charge phase, we have 2 knights, and they're going to be hitting on 4+. Our units are working much better at these improved levels. We have no hits, I spoke too early. So nothing from the charge phase. Now we'll go to the melee phase. In the melee phase, our longbowmen will be able to participate, and our knights will be able to participate in melee. So will the opposing archers. All right, so our forces in melee, the fjords will be at a 3. So we've got 2 of those. Our bowmen will participate at a 6+. So we'll set them for 6. And our knights will participate at a 5+. All right. Their units are going to have just the base values. So their archers will hit only on 6s and their infantry on a 5. So we should be able to win this battle. But I think I'd have to look back on the film, but I think I was using the reinforced values for these barbarians, and that's why it's causing me so much trouble. Okay, so we've got 2 red dice for our cavalry, 1 blue for our longbowmen, and 2 green for our fjords. Here's the roll. All right, so we've done 1 hit with the red, and we've done 1 hit with the green, and that's it. So 2 hits have been inflicted. We'll mark them with 2. And now they're going to fire with 2 blue and 1 green. 2 blue and a green, and they'll hit on 6s for the blue, 5s for the green. And they have 1 hit. So they will inflict 1 damage on us. And they're going to take the units that they're able to take out. Our units all have 1 hit point with the exception of knights. So they'll probably take out a longbowman. And we've done 2 damage to them. It won't matter because we're going to win the battle. We definitely have the battle strength. Our longbowmen are level 3. We don't have any of those. But our knights and fjords are level 2. So 2, 4, 6, 8. They have just 1. So we've won the battle. So we've won the Battle of Friesland, and we're going to end up gaining 1 gold and 1 stone as our reward. In addition, we'll place this on our trophies. That's going to earn us 3 victory points immediately. That'll move our victory points up to 30. And then we're going to get a gold and a stone. And then if we choose, we can settle Friesland. It would cost us a total of 4 levels of units. So I think we will, the fjords are a lot easier to replace. So we'll get rid of 2 of those. That's 4 points. Those are level 2 units. And we can settle that area. And we'll place a farm in Friesland. All right, so we're making some progress here. All right, so the lordlings have 2 nobles remaining. Here's their next action, and it is persevere. They're going to take the research action again. They have prepped that, so they'll return their prep token, taking the research action, and we'll make a roll to see what they research. And the research roll is a 16, and they're going to get 2 victory points plus 1 for common tech, so that'll be a total of 3 for them, moving them to 102 victory points. So we'll have to get out their plus 100 marker. So we'll give the lordlings their plus 100 victory point marker. And that is it for their action. We have 2 nobles left in our supply. And I have enough resources to actually build a great building, the Chateau de Dove-la-Fontaine. Instead of placing a noble, immediately place up to 3 levels of a keep in this province. You receive plus 2 battle result when defending this and any neighboring province. I think we'll do it. So instead of placing a noble, we're going to build the Chateau de Dove-la-Fontaine, and we'll build that in Daneland. I think that is the best, because that's where the Saracens will attack if they do. So we're going to place this great building in Danelaw. And that'll get us the properties for that we discussed, gets us plus 2 battle strength amongst some other things. We'll crowd it in there, but that's what we've got. That costed us 3 stone, but we also get to place up to 3 levels of a keep in the province, so we'll be able to expand our levels in that town, or city rather, to level 3. And that will also help in the defense. That's great. And in scoring. Okay, the lordlings have 1 noble left, and they are going to maneuver. And they have prepared it, so they will take the maneuver action. No, they won't, because they don't have any forces left. They've put them all on the board. So they can't take the maneuver action. And it says, if unable, draw another card instead. So they're going to do the rush. All right. Well, they're not eligible for a kingdom card. The only one left is the Duchy of Lorraine. And they only have 1 of 4 provinces there. So what they'll do is they're going to give us the Fibonacci card, earning them another victory point, moving them up to 103. And then they will cycle the cards on the display. So we'll reclaim all of their discs. And then they will cycle the cards. Reinforced card is getting close to the end. If that falls off, the Raiders will get an upgrade. And this is a reinforced card. They're going to be coming quite quickly now because of the way the deck was built. So we have to make a roll to find out what the reinforced card will do. It's a 4, and they're going to add a raider. So we'll make a random roll, see what it is. It's a 1, and that will be a raider infantry. So we'll add a raider infantry to the card. Now they're going to gain 2 culture points. 1, 2. They're up to 4 victory points in that category. And now they're going to earn victory points based on the number of provinces under their control. And they have 8 provinces that will add 8 victory points to them. They're at 111 victory points. We have 30. It won't make a difference, but I did notice I used the wrong model. That's one problem, is they give you these beautiful models, but other than the pictures that you see on the drawing, you don't know which model to use. But I've determined it should be this model. So we'll get rid of that one, and this model should be put in there as the great building. Chateau de Dove La Fontaine. We have 2 nobles remaining, and I do have resources in order to kind of repair our armies a little bit. But see, unfortunately, if this would have been earlier in the game, I would just build a city in Friesland and then use that as my base of operations. But if we do that, we'll go into the end of game situation, and we're so far behind, I don't think it'll matter. But as a strategist, we would obviously try to lengthen the game to be able to give us time to recover those points. So I think we will take the recruit action. I'll do that. And we're going to recruit a long bowman. That'll cost us 2 wood and a leather, so I'll have to use my gold coin to pay the difference. And we'll end up getting a long bowman in there. And we'll place him in our closest area, which is East Anglia. All right. Lordlings are up next. And they're going to do a build action. This could be the end of it right here if they build a city. So we'll make the roll for the build. They rolled a 14, and that's build a farm closest to you where they have a farm already. Okay, the closest to us is going to be in Compiègne, so that's where it's going to go. That's all of their farms, and they're going to be getting 40 victory points just for their farms. It's unbelievable. So they've taken the build action. We have 1 noble remaining. Well, we've used up all 4 of our slots for technology, so none of these are going to be any value to us for the remainder of the game because we cannot replace technologies once they're placed in our area. So you have to be very careful with which ones you select. So that will take out more than likely the development of culture, other than trying to get rid of this reinforced card that would just give the raiders an upgrade. So I guess we'll maybe do that. We'll take development of culture, and we'll take the reinforced card. That'll get us a +1 die roll modifier if necessary. These will slide down and see what else happens. And it is strategic planning. That's actually a very good card. Too bad we can't use that. All right, we're up next. We'll have to pass. We don't have enough for the Duchy of Lorraine Kingdom card, so we will simply retake all of our nobles and then refresh the offer. And this is siege machinery. All right, so now we'll go to our warehouse. Our warehouse will allow us to sell 2 items, and I'm going to sell both of these. We're going to sell our metal and our stone for a total of 5. That'll get us 5 culture points. So we'll advance 5 culture points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That gets us a gold, and we're getting close to the end here. We've moved up our victory points to 17. That's also another end game condition, is whoever reaches the end of that track first. So now we're going to collect our resources. We're going to get 1 gold. That's 2 gold for us now. And now we'll get a total of 3 stone, 3 leather, 3 metal, and 2 wood, and an extra leather for Friesland. And we also have leather supplies. It says immediately after you pass, receive a leather. So we'll get 1 for that. We'll collect all those resources. We'll also gain a victory point for our Fibonacci card, moving us up to 31. We'll give that to the Lordlings, and then we'll reset our kingdom card. Lordlings have 5 nobles, and they're going to maneuver. They've already prepped the maneuver, so they can't maneuver because they have no units left, so the maneuver action can't be taken. They'll have to draw another one. Persevere, that'll be the build action. So they're going to be taking the build action again. That they can do. And we'll roll to see what they build. 17, that's build a church. And that is going to be the second last church. We'll see where they're going to build that highest value. And the highest value they can achieve is going to be in Flanders. They're going to get 5 for building the church, 1 extra because there is nothing in Flanders. It's the first church there, and that's it. That's all they can gain. There's already a church in West Franks, so they won't gain anything for that. So it'll be 5, 6, and there is a church in Upper Burgundy, which is part of Provence. So that's all they get is 6 victory points. That'll move them up to 117 victory points. We are going to lose so big. All right, we're up next. The only thing I can think of doing is to try to launch an attack on Flanders before it becomes too strong. And that might be a way for us to regain some points, but we're going to need to get some forces in there. So I think I will start out with a recruit action. We'll do that. And I'm going to recruit probably the longbowmen are level 3, so we'll build one of those. We're going to need 2 wood and a leather, and that'll produce a archer, and we're going to place that archer in East Anglia. And I think we might do that again. I'm going to use our kingdom card, and we'll tip that, and we're going to take that action again. And I think we will build a fjord, which will be 1 leather, and we'll place that also in the same location, East Anglia. Now we do have to be careful, even though we've got these defensive preparations in Danelaw. Right now, the Saracen raiders have a total of 2 archers, a cavalry, and 3 infantry, so that could pose a problem for us. We cannot neglect the defenses of Danelaw. And the lordlings will go up again. They have 4 nobles. And rush is not a possibility. They have more than 2. Settle. Can they do a settle action? Nope, all of their provinces under their control already have farms. So it says just continue on. And they're going to do persevere, and that's going to be a build action again. So we'll get that out. We'll shuffle the rush card back in to the listing, and they're going to do a build action. So they'll take a build action. That's going to give them a kick out action, and now we'll find out what they're building. And if it's a city or a church, we'll go into the endgame scenario. It's an 11, and that is build a level of keep, most adjacent controlled province. Okay, well, that would be in Flanders, so they'll build a keep in Flanders. And they're going to get a kick-out action, and for them it's going to have to be the cultural exchange because they can't take commodities. So we'll find out what happens to them when they take the cultural exchange. And that says, when selecting the cultural exchange reaction, they take the rightmost culture card from the offer, even if not accessible, and perform the action described on the lordling's cultural development card. All right. So that's going to take, they're going to take this siege machinery card. That's a technology card. We'll add that to their total and refresh with a Norseman card. All right. That was their cultural exchange. All right, I think we are going to take a maneuver action. And we have to check our supply levels. Right now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 units on 8 units on the map, and our supply level is 9. So we're in good shape with that. And we're going to maneuver these units in East Anglia into Friesland. I think our only chance is to try to take Flanders if possible. I think that's really our only possible chance of getting some victory points. Lordlings have 3 nobles, and they're going to take development of culture. All right. So they're going to take their most accessible card, happens to be this reinforced card, and that's going to give the raiders an upgrade. We'll refresh the display, and that is going to give them another Norseman card on the board. We'll find out what kind of unit they are going to upgrade. Here's the roll. The raiders rolled a 15. They're going to upgrade cavalry. Their cavalry will go to the higher portion of level 2. All right, it's our turn next. We do have a fairly sizable force in Friesland to attack Flanders with, and I do have 2 reinforced cards that I've saved that can give us some die roll modifiers. I think we'll try it, and I'm going to launch an attack into Flanders. So we're going to take the maneuver action. It's the second token on that. And then all these forces are going to come into Flanders. They're going to gain an extra archer because it is a city. They'll also gain extra infantry for each farm. And they'll also gain a benefit for their keep that they have built there. So we'll lay that out on the board. All right, we're ready to resolve the battle. We'll start out with our volley phase, and we're going to launch a volley of 2 longbowmen. They hit on 2s. And we've got 1 hit. So we'll place a hit token on that side. They are going to crossfire now with a 3+. And they've got it. So they've done a point of damage to us. All right. Okay, the Lordling archers have 1 hit point. Their cavalry and their infantry have 2. Our units all have 1 hit point except for our knights. So in this case, I think we'll take the casualty as the archer. And their casualty, they will take our Fjord, which is level 1. All right, that is the end of the volley phase. Now we'll move on to the charge phase. Lordling units are different than the raiders, where raider infantry at a higher level gets to make a charge, but they don't. So all we're going to have is our charging knights. They're going to hit on a 4+. We get 2 red dice. And we've got no hits. Okay, I'm going to use my reinforced card to give me a +1 die roll modifier. That'll turn that into a 4, giving us a hit. Lordling infantry have 2 hit points, so we'll have to just place a damage marker on one of these. And that'll stay on until the end of the battle. So we'll switch to melee. All of the forces have the melee capability. And we'll find out what those values are. Our longbowmen in melee will only hit on a 6. And our cavalry, our knights, will hit on a 5+. So we'll mark it with that. Their infantry will hit on a 4+. So they have the advantage in better quality troops. There's no doubt about that. So we'll make the roll. We're going to be launching attacks with 2 blue and 2 red dice, hitting on 6 and 5 respectively. 2 blue and 2 red. Okay. And we've got 1 hit. I'll take that on as a casualty. We'll place that on that damaged infantry unit. That will kill it at the end of the round. And now they're going to fire 3 green dice, hitting on a 4+. Okay, here we go. And they've got only 1 hit, so we're fortunate. So they've got 1 hit, and all of our remaining units, the longbowmen only have 1 hit point, so they're going to take a longbowman as the casualty. We'll take this as the casualty. Now we can calculate the battle strength. We have longbowmen are level 3, knights are level 2. So 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, that's us. They have level 2 infantry, 4. So we've won the battle. We have won the battle, and we're going to read what happens when we take a city. I should point out they have 1 level of keep that would lower our battle total by 1. That would still leave us with 6. We would still win 6-4. It says here, if your battle result is higher than your opponent's, you are victorious. If this is not the opponent's capital, your opponent must retreat their surviving non-transient units into neighboring province that they control. If no such province exists, all their units are killed, and therefore return to supply. Return each opponent-owned farm to the rightmost empty space of their farm track. For each returned farm, the opponent triggers revanchism. They may place an infantry unit for free in their capital. All right. Then finally, do not destroy the city, production buildings, or the church present. They are now under your control. So the lordlings will retreat into a province they control. I guess they would move into Compiègne to help defend that. These farms are going to be returned to their display, which is great. That will affect their victory points. And now our units will take control of Flanders militarily. Now we control 2 of the 4 in the Duchy of Lorraine. So we might want to pass, keeping 2 nobles available, and then we'd be able to take that Duchy of Lorraine card. Now it is the lordlings' turn. And they're going to rush, and that's what they're going to do. They're not eligible for any kingdom cards, so they are going to return all of their discs. And then we're going to recycle 1 card on the track. So the wood supplier's card is removed. Whoops. We'll slide these down and see what transpires. This is a military upgrade card. Level 2 infantry, level 3 heavy knights. Lordlings will gain 2 on the culture track, and then they're going to gain their victory points. Now they've lost a province here, so let's get a count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They have 7 provinces. That'll only get them 5 victory points, moving them up to 122 victory points. They're going to score an additional victory point by passing us the Fibonacci card, moving them up to 123. The score is 123 to 31. They're going to lap us pretty soon. Now we've taken control of a city, and that is in Flanders. So now we can start producing units there. I'm going to take a recruit action, and we are going to recruit a level 3 longbowman, and that is going to cost us 2 wood and a leather. Well, I don't have any wood, so I'd have to use 2 gold. I don't want to do that. I guess we'll take the fjord, and we will use 1 leather, and we will add an infantry unit to help defend that area. We'll place that in Flanders. All right. So this is the situation here. We've got 4 units in Flanders, and they've got a massive force in Normandy, but this force will not attack us, but we will have to still worry about the Saracens. Okay, the lordlings have all of their nobles, and they are going to build. We'll place it on the build action, and we'll make a roll and see what they build. If it's a city or church, that will be the end game portion of the game will be enacted. So here's the roll. They rolled a 1, and that's what it's going to be. Build a city with 2 culture. So the last city in the supply will be built in either Cisgerania or in Compiègne. So we'll see which of those 2 it'll be. Probably an odd and even roll will determine. Odd, even. It's odd, so they're going to be building it in Compiègne. So that'll be added here. It's going to give them 2 culture points. That'll move them up 2 for the culture track. And now we got to read what happens when we reach an end game situation. The game end is triggered similarly to the multiplayer game. There are no more city miniatures remaining in the supply. When this happens, perform a pass action, both for yourself and for the lordlings, as described in the rules. Then play until you and the lordlings pass 1 more time. Then play until you and the lordlings pass 1 more time, yes. Once they pass, do not draw more cards for the lordlings deck. Okay, So we're going to execute 2 pass options. So I'm going to begin with us, and we are eligible for a kingdom card. I have 2 unused nobles, and that is going to get us the Duchy of Lorraine. That's worth 8 victory points. That'll move us up to 39 victory points. We'll pass the Fibonacci card. That'll be worth 1 victory point to us, moving us up to 40. We'll cycle another card. And this is levied infantry. We'll consult our warehouse. We've got a sell of 2. I'm going to sell 2 of my metal. These have been used already from previously. So that'll get us 6 movement on the culture track. So we'll move up 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Almost at the end of the track. Now we do have staple rights. Level 2. It says whenever you pass, you may advance on the warehouse track once before selling resources, spending normal costs. So I think we will do that. I'm going to spend a stone to upgrade the warehouse before. I should have done that before we sold, but we've done that. So we've got 3 hold. We can hold 3 units. We'll hold the stone, 2 stone, and a metal. We'll hold those. Now we'll gather our resources, including a gold. So we got a vast array of resources. And then we just tip our kingdom cards. Now we have 2 kingdom cards. We can use those during the turn, but you can't double up on it. You can't use more than 1 kingdom card per action. Now the lordlings will do their pass action. They're going to return all of their tokens. They're not eligible for any kingdom cards. We will refresh the offer. This is military adaptation. They're going to gain 2 culture points, and then they're going to gain the number of victory points equal to their totals. They currently have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Is that correct? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, they have 7 provinces. That's going to net them another 5 victory points, moving them up to 128. I'll have to look back. Did I forget to move their victory points for something earlier? I'll have to check. No, I guess not. At least nothing that I could find. So they're up to 128 victory points. And now we're going to play through until both sides pass. And that will be the end of the game, and then we will add up the scores and see who wins. I don't think it'll be us, but we'll see how good we can do. All right, so it was their action that set off the end game conditions. So it is our turn now, and we have to try to get as many points as we can. I'm going to start out by playing a research action, and we're going to spend a gold to increase one of our technologies. And we're going to increase, for the cost of 1 gold, our advanced farming. The reason I'm doing that is mostly for the victory points. That's worth 8 now. It says immediate, remove 2 farms from your player board. So we'll take 2 of those off. Moves us up to 25 victory points as well, which is very nice. I think we're going to use one of our kingdom cards, and we're going to do that again, paying another gold, and we're going to increase one of our technologies another level. And I think we're going to increase staple rights up, again, for the victory points. Whenever you sell resources, you may spend exactly 1 culture point to receive 1 victory point. Okay, so that is the extent of our research. Lordlings' actions. Settle. Can they settle anywhere? No. They have no regions without farms, so that will be draw another instead. They cannot persevere yet. They can't persevere. It's going to be a research action, so we'll place their preparation token on research, and we'll shuffle the persevere cards back into the deck. Okay, we have 5 nobles remaining. I'm going to take a recruit action. And By the same token, we're going to use the Duchy of Lorraine card to take the recruit action twice. And we're going to recruit forces, I think, in Flanders and I think also in Danelaw to make sure that we don't have any problems with raiders. So I'm going to purchase a long bowman, which will be 2 wood and a leather, and we'll place that in Danelaw. That'll go into Danelaw. And now we're going to duplicate that action again and see what we want to purchase. And I think it's going to be a knight. We'll end up spending 2 iron and 1 leather to produce a knight in Danelaw. The only reason I'm doing that is strictly for the defensive purposes of that. So we'll place another knight up in Danelaw. All right. Lordlings are up next. And they're going to maneuver. And they don't have any forces to maneuver with, so it says, if unable, draw another. Rush. They can't do that either. That is going to be put back into the deck. Recruit. They have nothing to recruit, so that's one thing I'm going to have to work on. There's a few things in here for the solitaire player that are not outlined. What happens when you get a recruit action and there are no units left to recruit? So I guess we'll just use the recruit action, and since they have prep for that, and then we'll give them a upgrade. They rolled a 16, so they will upgrade a unit, and I guess we'll roll to see what type of upgrade it is. They rolled a 6, and a 6 is going to be an infantry upgrade. They're at level 3 infantry now. We'll shuffle that rush card back into their Lordling deck. Yeah, I think I'm going to post these questions on BGG to see if perhaps David Turksey could maybe chime in. He is the developer of the Solo system, and I think he did an absolutely fantastic job. There's just a few unanswered questions. One of them is, what do you do with a recruit action when the Lordlings have already produced all of their military units? Maybe on most cards it says, if not, then draw another, but it does not say that in the rules or on the card for recruit. So I'm going to try to post these, and maybe he would be kind enough to chime in and give us some answers. All right, we've got 4 nobles left. I've got a lot of resources, so I'm going to see what is the most profitable for us to do with the supplies that we have. By building a farm, that gets us automatically 5 more victory points, but I think we can do better by perhaps building the keep. We do have the Fibonacci card, which would allow us to build 2 levels of the same keep, paying the full price. I think we will do that. So I'm going to take a build action. And we're going to use the Fibonacci card, and that will allow us to build 2 levels of a keep, paying the full price. We'll give the Fibonacci card to the Lordlings, and let's see where we're going to build it. And I think we're going to build it in our capital of Mercia. So we need 2 levels of keeps. We're already at level 1, so we're going to need a wood and a stone, and then for the next level it would be a stone and a metal. So we're going to need 2 stone, a wood, and a metal. Well, I don't have any wood, so I'm going to have to use up a gold for that, but that'll allow us to build 2 additional levels onto the capital, and that'll get us up to a maximum of 3 on our keeps. So we've got 2 of those with level 3 keeps, which is nice. Lordlings are up next. And persevere, that means they're going to do the recruit action again. That'll get us a kick out action, and they'll get a possible another upgrade. They rolled 11. That's no good. We'll take the kick out action, and I'm going to take a wood. So we'll add a wood to our total. And I think we are going to take another build action. That's going to be the best chance for us to gain victory points. And we'll see what we want to build. Well, we get a lot of points if we have our cities filled. So I think what we'll do is we will build an additional metal production in Wessex. That's going to cost us a stone and a wood. So we'll pay that. And then we will also gain another wood production facility. I'm sorry, metal production facility in Wessex. That'll help with a lot of victory points for having those cities maxed out. And the lordlings are up next. And they have rush. They can't do that yet. So we'll draw another card. Build. That they can do. They'll take a build action, and that's going to give us a kick out. We'll shuffle the rush card back in. And then we'll find out what they're going to build. They've rolled an 11, and that's to build a level of keep. And that's going to go into campaign. Our kickout's going to allow us either a wood or leather or a cultural exchange. And I think we'll use that to take a wood. So we will do that. We'll add a wood to our total. We have 2 nobles remaining. That's what we have left. And I don't have any gold, so I can't do any improvements in our technologies. So let's see what we have left. I've got some building materials, so we could build the last church. That is a possibility. That would get us some direct victory points. I think we'll do that. Unfortunately, I can't because I only have 1 wood. I need 2 wood. So I guess what we'll do is build a production building, and I will build a wood production facility in East Anglia, and that will cost us a wood and a stone. We'll do it that way. So we're taking the build action. That's going to get us another kick out. And with that kick out, I'm going to take another wood. It will allow us to continue to do some building. So we'll take another wood, and then we'll place a wood production facility in East Anglia. So we'll place that in East Anglia, and that is going to max out East Anglia, which is very nice. We get a lot of points for that, a lot more points for when you have your cities maxed out with buildings. That includes churches as well. Lordlings have 3 nobles. Persevere, so that means they're going to do the build action again. That is going to give them a kick out. We'll see what they're going to build. They rolled a 4. That's a city. There's no city models left. So we'll have to keep rolling till they get something they can build. 19. Build a church. That they can do. So they're going to build a church where it's the most profitable. Well, they're all tied, so I think we will just build it in Toulouse. And that's only going to be worth 5 victory points to them, but 5 is 5. That moves them up to 133 victory points. We have 1 noble remaining. But before we take our action, we have to resolve their kickout action. It has to be the cultural exchange. So they're going to take the card to the rightmost. It's going to be a technology card, and then that will be refreshed. And that's a raid card. Okay, so we'll have to make a roll for the raid card. Let's see what happens. All right. And here's the roll. They've rolled an 18, and that is add and upgrade a raider. I've made the rolls. They're going to add a raider infantry, and they're going to upgrade their archers. Archers will go to the advanced level 2. We're going to be using our final noble during the final action of the game for us, and I think we're going to take the build action. That will give us a kick out. And we're going to build a leather production facility in Flanders. It's going to cost us 1 wood and 1 stone. And that'll allow us to add another leather production facility there. I'm kind of maxing that out now. It's at 3 buildings again, which is great. Okay, that is our last action. We do have a kick-out action though. And I guess we will take the wood once again. Don't have any stone to go with that, but we'll take it nonetheless. And all of our actions are done. Lordlings are up next. They have 2 nobles, and they're going to rush. That'll be it. So they're going to do one more final pass, and then we will go through the scoring. One thing that will happen is the raiders were going to make one last attack against us. So they're going to be launching an attack against Danelaw. We'll resolve that. All right, one final battle from the raiders. Now we have 3 levels of keep there. That gives us not only a battle strength reduction of 3 to the opponents, but we have 3 points of die roll modifier that we can apply during the battle. In addition, I have 1 reinforced card left with a +1 die roll modifier, so we'll try to use all of those, see if we can survive this. We'll start out with a volley. The raiders will have 2 archers hitting at a 3+. And they've got 2 hits. So we'll mark 2 hits out on our side that we have to deal with. We're going to fire 1 volley with a 2 or better. We've got a 1, of course, so I'll use my player aid card to give us a +1. That'll get us a 2. Never fails. So we have a damage on them. All right, now we can apply these the damage as we see fit. Their infantry units are level 1, so I'm going to take it as an infantry loss for us. They have 2 hits, and they will apply that to the 2 fjords. Those are only 1 hit point. Okay, so now we're going to move to the charge phase, and the archers will have a charge for the raiders. They get a charge. Our archers do not. There's no charge there, so we'll resolve the next step. We're going to have 2 blue dice for their charging archers and 1 red for their charging cavalry. Their charging archers only hit on 6s. So we'll make their attack. And they've got all 4s. The 1 red 4 will cause a hit to us. So we'll get a hit marker out on our forces. And then we get to roll 2 red dice, and we're going to hit on 4s as well. Okay, here's the roll. We do have 3 points of die roll modifier. We've got 1 hit, and we could spend, it would cost us all 3 points to get a second hit. So I guess we'll use that. 3 points added to 1 is 4. That'll be another hit. So we have 2 hits now against the raiders. That should have been an opposite color. There. Okay. We'll use the 2 hits that we have to take out 2 of their infantry units. They have 1 point, and they will apply that to the longbowman, which is only 1 hit point. We'll move to the melee phase. These things will all shift down. Everybody is going to get a melee attack, I believe. Yes. So now we got to recalculate our melee values. We've already used our 3 points. And I'll recalculate the 2 hit rolls. All right, they're going to be rolling 1 green, 2 blue, and 1 red. And they'll hit on a 4 for infantry, a 6, and a 6 for the blue and red. Okay, they have a 6, and that's the only hit. They've got 1 hit against us, so we'll mark that accordingly. We're going to roll 2 red dice, and we're going to hit on 5s. Okay, here's the roll. We've got 1 hit, so we've got a hit there. All right, so we'll apply the damage. We'll use our damage to take out a level 1 archer, and they are going to use 1 damage to apply against one of our knights, but that won't be enough to kill it because they have 2 hit points. So now we will calculate the battle strength. Our battle strength, our knights are level 2, so we've got a battle strength of 4. They have level 2 knights, archers, and cavalry. 2, 4, 6, but they're going to lose 3 because of the keep. That will reduce them to 3. We've won 4-3, and we've defeated the raiders. So we've won the battle. We're going to earn us a gold, and all of the raider units are going to be eliminated. So I'm going to go through the final scoring, and I'll let you know what the results are. So after calculating all of the victory points, we've lost, but not by as much as you would have thought. The final score was 219 to 182. So we have work to do to get better at this game, but we did do some things correct, some things we didn't. What didn't help me was not applying the barbarian rule properly. I'm almost positive, I'll have to look back on the video footage, but I'm pretty sure I was using the lordling and raider values for those barbarians. So when we were launching those attacks against Friesland, I think I was using the wrong values. They should all be level 1 units, and that definitely hurt us. But this is the final score of the game, and I had a blast with this. I hope that you enjoyed watching this. I tried to put more of my thinking behind the moves so that you could develop some of the strategy behind this game, and I think it's absolutely fantastic. What I'm going to do is post some of those questions on BGG. I'll hope that David Turksi will chime in and give us some official rulings on just those couple of questions that we have. Other than that, everything is working fantastic with the rules, and I hope you enjoyed this playthrough with strategy commentary. So thanks for watching, and thank you for tuning into the channel, and I hope you will join me again for my next video. More than likely, we're going to be returning to Shadows of Brimstone. I've already got 1 episode filmed, and we will be posting probably 2 episodes very soon. So thanks for watching, and I hope that everyone has a pleasant evening. Good night.